Hello, Bills Mafia, and welcome to the Buffalo Fanatics Writers Room, part of the Buffalo Fanatics Tailgate pregame show. I'm your host, Adam Nannini, the chief editor here at Buffalo Fanatics. And I'm joined by a room full of spicy hot wingmen, starting with Mitch Broder. We have Zach Vaughn, our newest writer, Eric Schmidt, a.k.a. the BF Spy, and Alex Lucci, the Thigh Doctor. Welcome, guys. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Hello.
Good to see everybody, too.
All right, guys. We're going to see if today we can squish the fish. But, there's so much riding on today's game. It seems like a nothing game because not much matters. It's between the 2 and the 3 seeds. There's some records potentially hanging in the balance. That'll be interesting. But let's get to the thing that worries, I think, Bills Mafia the most, and that is injuries, right? Alex, you are one of our medical writers, and you will have your pregame injury report will be coming out right after this. And I wanted to start with you about Cole Beasley. They've said, he had a leg injury, but there's not a lot of details, not a lot of information. Tell us what you know about Cole Beasley's injury.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. So Cole pulled up in last week's game in the fourth quarter. He was in there with Barkley. I think they were trying to get him 1,000 yards. So what happened is it was a non-contact injury. He's running his out pattern. He plants his leg, and his knee gave out on him. So what do we take from that? So he goes to the bench. We see the trainer kind of looking at the front of his knee. So we can diagnose maybe 3 things here just looking at the film. He might have had a strain. And if it was a strain, it would probably be in the patellar tendon. So that's just below the kneecap. He also could have torn a meniscus because his hips were rotated when he did plant. Or it could have been a patellar subluxation, which is when the patella kind of runs off the track and then runs back on. So what does that mean? I think the biggest thing we can say is it's minor, okay? Because the coach said it's week to week. And by week to week, I think we're looking at a 2-week injury here.
Okay. We just got a super chat, which I thought was pretty fitting, kind of fits what we're talking about, from Scott Vanilou. Sorry if I can't pronounce that correctly. He asked, did Brandon Beane go out and get Kenny Stills because Cole Beasley's out? I don't know if that was a rumor or not. If it's true that way, supposed to go through COVID-19 program and he'll be ready for the playoffs. Okay. Basically, did we get Cole Beasley or Kenny Stills because Cole Beasley might not be available? What do you guys think about this? Mitch, I'm going to start with you. What do you think? Do you think it's possible that's why we got Cole Beasley?
I think that it's probably 2 reasons why we got Cole Beasley. Kenny Stills. I think that Cole Beasley's injury certainly has to play a factor in it. At the very least, an insurance policy, just in case he can't go round 1 of the playoffs. Or potentially even later. Again, we'll see, I guess, with this injury. But I also think that part of it is just loading up for a Super Bowl run because
I was just going to say that.
How many pass catchers do the Chiefs have? I mean, at least 4 or 5 legit playmakers. And Kenny Stills isn't your typical, sign him off the streets, scrub. This is a real veteran that's a legit downfield threat. So I think at the very least, if Cole Beasley comes back healthy, you just got another weapon for Josh Allen to, use in his toolbox. So I think it probably is kind of a 2-factor situation here with Kenny Stills.
Okay, Eric. Yeah, what do you think? What is your take from this whole move here?
Mine was kind of similar to Mitch with weapons. I think that Brandon Beane has a bit of weapons PTSD from the Houston game last year. I just don't think we had enough firepower in the wide receiver core or on the offense in general. And I know we have obviously much more this season, but I think Brandon Beane is always that opportunistic general manager who's going to look for any opportunity he can to enhance that firepower. And I think obviously the Cole Beasley injury is a major factor in the signing, but ultimately I think it has more to do with how can we maximize our potential for the playoffs. And so I think that was likely a huge factor in Brandon Beane's decision-making, and I think McDermott was probably right on board right there with him.
All right. Is that Zach, I'm going to come to you last on this one because I have a slight variation on this. Alex, given the injury, do you think it would be prudent to have a Stills on the roster because, do you think Cole's going to miss playoff games? What's your – how far do you think he could miss?
Okay, so listen, with Cole's injury, I think we're looking at 2 weeks. I think he gets healthy. This is the NFL. The guys are tough. Coming back for the playoffs. He's not going to miss it. He might be limited, though. He might, 75, 85, 90%. With that being said, I don't think the Stills acquisition was actually because of Cole. It might have been kind of the last straw that broke the camel's back. But if you ask me, he's more of the prototype of the John Brown type receiver. And knowing John Brown's history this year, I think they wanted to get some insurance on him. And then I think with Cole going out, they're like, that's fine, Brandon, sign him up. So that's my perspective on it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're going to need him on this run. He's become super important in the second half. And with that in mind, Zach, slightly variation question. What do you think of Kenny Stills? What do you think he might bring this team, particularly from his play in the past, but also this season?
Well, first of all, he brings another veteran presence into that receiver room, which is very important, especially because he's been on teams that have made the playoffs, including last year's Houston team that unfortunately beat us. But he was also on the Saints too, and apparently he is a pretty big deep threat, as I've been hearing all across social media, Bills media, national media. Everyone's been talking about that. So I would have to agree. I think he's more of John Brown insurance. I know that Pro Football Talk also had an article saying that maybe his addition would possibly push Isaiah Mckenzie down, but I don't think so. I think they do really like him. I just think he's more of that experienced veteran depth, which especially because Cole Beasley probably wasn't going to play this week anyways, given the injury, it's important to have that going into the playoff run. So I guess to sum up, I would say he brings another experienced weapon for Josh Allen to throw to for the playoff run.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. It sounds like we're on the same page about Kenny Stills. And the addition of John Brown coming back is going to be pretty big. In fact, Scott Vanderloo asks another question, which, thank you, Scott. He says, what do you think of a Smoke coming back? You think he'll play a huge factor in the game today, especially with Cole Beasley out? Do you think Smoke will be 100% in the game today? It's an interesting question. And to me, earlier in the season, John Brown was the most important receiver on this offense. I felt like he was the proverbial straw that stirred the drink in terms of that offense. He really was great at those comeback balls, whatever. I guess I got a question. I'll ask a few variations of this question. So I'm going to start with you, Eric, which is, how important is it that John Brown is coming back for those playoff run? And, especially now with what particular things do you think he's going to bring this offense?
So I believe that John Brown is going to play today. I think he needs to be on a snap count. And the reason why I say that is we need to recondition him. Not that he's not conditioned to play an NFL game. Of course he is, but just not at the rate that he was playing snaps earlier in the season. John Brown was a crucial part of this offense earlier in the season, but I think Chris Sims on CBS made a good point when he said that the Bills have learned how to live without John Brown. Josh Allen has learned how to work past that specific play set and live without that connection to him. And I think that despite that, John Brown still is very important. And what might actually also be important is don't play him too much today, not because you don't want to get him hurt again, but because you don't want opposing teams in the playoffs to know his level of preparation, to know his level of speed. Where is his conditioning at? Is he the same player that we know him to be, or has his game set changed? So it's kind of can be used as an ace in the hole a little bit strategically for Brian Daboll and Sean McDermott. How much do we really want to show John Brown? Do we want other teams to know that he's 100%? So I think that the coaching staff is definitely looking at the John Brown situation, not just from an injury or physical standpoint, but from a strategic one as well.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I love the idea of a snap count and not giving away too much about how healthy he is, what he's doing. Because it'll be interesting that maybe they have a new plan for him. Mitch, when you watched John Brown earlier this season, what particular sort of routes or elements do you see in his game that he may help the offense with? What was his sort of specialty in your mind, and what do you think he might bring in the playoffs with that in mind?
Well, I mean, John Brown, of course, he's known for being a deep threat, with that, 4.3 speed of his. He can get down the field in a hurry. But I think, like you said, like you mentioned earlier, that John Brown's great at those intermediate, like, comeback routes. And he always seems to find Allen in the scramble drill as well. Of course, Allen, he's formed a rapport with Diggs so well where Diggs has sort of filled that role, especially with, Brown being out kind of late in the season. But at the very least, John Brown is a guy that is going to have to, keep the safeties, deep and back. I mean, ultimately, you can't leave him one-on-one with no safety help. He's too fast. He's too explosive. So, he's a guy that can do kind of a lot for this offense down the field. And, Diggs can obviously do that as well. But, Diggs is kind of an all-around guy. So to have that deep specialist, back into the fold, I mean, that could really be huge for this offense moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% with you. Alex, Brown's coming back off his injury. Could there be any lingering effects? What do you expect to see from him?
Yeah, no, I think John Brown's healthy. He's at 7 weeks since his high ankle sprain. Basically, his exponential progression he's probably at like 95, 99, maybe even 100% right now. I think he's gotten a lot of rest, 2 months to get over all those other leg injuries he had early in the year. I don't think resting him any further is going to make him any healthier. I mean, you need like 3 to 6 months to totally get out of the woodwork. But these guys are NFL guys. They're all playing dinged up. I think the big thing about John Brown is he's going to be healthy until he's not. So he's going to be out there. He's going to look like his old self. But just know that, he is a little more of a high risk to tweak the ankle a little easier or something like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, very much. And a quick follow-up on that one, Alex. Do you suspect, they might play him today to shake off some of that rust, get him moving more? Like, do you think there's going to be some stiffness, some rust on the playing field?
I don't know about rust on the playing field. I mean, he's been at practice for about 3-4 weeks now. He was even running routes before he was activated off the IR. But I think the big thing here is, if we look at last year, I think Allen got about 7 snaps, those 2 series. And I mean, this Week 17 game, I think McDermott values kind of putting the guys through the routine during the week, get the pregame, taking the first few snaps, but I don't see him playing more than 1 to 2 series.
Okay. Yeah, that takes us to our next question. Zach, I want to come to you, man. We're playing the Fish today, and that's, to me, the Dolphins are the natural rival for the Bills, always have been. You've got Party Town, Florida. You've got blue-collar Buffalo. It's just a different thing. And I actually love that these two teams are looking better, because I think the rivalry is a lot of fun. But the Bills don't have a lot to play for. I've heard some rumors. Are the Bills going to play their starters today? Are they going to play to win? What do you think, Zach?
Well, I would say that, according to Jeff Darlington, he posted on Twitter, he said that based on his conversations in Buffalo, that they're going to be playing a decent amount of their starters, that they want the 2 seed. They're going to play for the 2 seed. So I would expect that they would be out there as long as it takes to win the game. If that means that they're up by 24 at halftime and then they put in Barkley, or if it means going into the third quarter, if they're only up by 10 or up by 7 or something like that, they'll probably keep the starters in as long as it takes to seal the win. Plus, based on the practice squad call-ups they did, like, they could have called up Davis Webb. If they had called up Davis Webb, I would have thought Josh Allen would be sitting. But they didn't. They called up Mike Love. So there is the possibility that maybe they just want that extra rotational piece on the defense, on the edge rush. They called up Nate Becker to have that extra tight end because, unfortunately, Tyler Kroft's not going to be available. And they called up Antonio Williams, so they're probably going to try to cycle in another running back into the mix, whether or not that means comes at the detriment of Singletary or Moss. And then, of course, they called up Dane Jackson, who I've been pounding the table for ever since that second Jets game, and he's finally getting back on the roster. So I would feel like that they're getting they're going to approach this the way that McDermott knows how to approach it. You play not necessarily conservatively, not necessarily aggressively, but just that middle ground where you keep the starters in as long as it takes to seal the win. Then you get the younger guys, that experience that'll hopefully help them make decisions for the future.
Okay, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a tough one today. We've got some things going, and look, we all remember the old Colts teams that would sit, their teams, and it seems like they come out rusty. But look, we all know if somebody gets injured, knocking on wood, and McDermott's playing his starters, that he's going to catch hell for that. Alex, what do you think about this? You're a medical guy. If McDermott came to you and said, "Listen, we got these records. I want to keep the guys fresh. I want to sweep the East," and he asked you for your advice, what would you say to McDermott this morning?
I don't know. It's a tough call. I mean, getting the 2 seed would be a great thing. I know you can. The safe thing to do is to rest the guys. I mean, do what they did last year. Go in, do conservative play calls. I saw they brought up the practice squad running back. Sit Singletary, sit Moss. Hand the ball off 7 times, 2 series, get Josh out of there. Just get him into the rhythm. However, it would be nice, and it would be sure fun to watch if they kept him in quite a bit today. But again, the safe thing to do is to rest the guys. I mean, because what's records and what's Week 17 when we're trying to win a Super Bowl? But also, it's tough because you take them out of their rhythm, and then you don't want them being rusty the next week. And last year, all I can hang my hat on is last year they put him in, they took him out after 7 snaps. Like I said, we came out on fire. We were up 16-0 in the first round. We blew that one. So I don't think that was rust. I think that was just a bad combination of plays that kind of led to that unravel. Plus, the guys weren't as mature as they are now. I don't see that happening again.
That's a great point, Alex. Scott Vanderloo, man, he's on fire. That's just a lot of super chat questions. What do you guys think of the first game at home in class with a sold-out crowd? Sold out at 6,700 roughly. We haven't had fans since we're all happy for Bills Mafia. That's pretty fantastic, and we'll see how loud 6,700 people can be. I'm excited about that. Mitch, let's come to you on this one. So, there's been debate back and forth all week about just sitting the starters, not sitting the starters. Outside of, records and, sweeping East and maybe getting the 2 seed, because the difference between 2 and 3 seed is kind of nebulous, right? It's not a huge one. Do you put any stock in the idea of let's hit the playoffs running, let's be hitting on all cylinders? Do you think that matters? Or are you with Alex that, there's not going to be an issue? Let's, maybe give them a couple reps, but get them out of there. That's the safe and right way to go.
So I think, this team is hot, and they've been playing, I think the best football the last, 8-9 weeks of this season. So what's best for this team, in my opinion, I think you play the starters for sure for a quarter, and I think you play, reasonably, aggressive like you normally would, and then you yank them. I think you want these guys just to kind of get in the routine, the rhythm, just have Josh Allen throw it around a little bit, nothing too crazy, and then get them out of there before things get, intense. Because let's not forget, guys, the Dolphins are playing for their season today. They're going all in on this game. They need to win in order to stay alive. So, part of me doesn't really want to see the Bills players out there potentially at risk to get hurt. But I do think that it is important just to keep these guys kind of fresh and ready, because I think that that rust thing that we saw with the Colts, the last decade, is real and it is legit. So I would prefer to see the starters play a quarter or so, kind of like a preseason game, get them up, get to speed a little bit, and once you've seen enough, take them out and let Matt Barkley and company finish the rest of this game.
All right, fantastic. Spin 0481 says, if we get the 3rd seed, we will only get 1 home game guaranteed. Guaranteed is not spelled like that, Mr. Spin or Miss Spin. Work on that. Eric, what do you put any stock in that 2 versus 3 seed? How important do you think for the Bills this home field advantage could be? Apparently, it might be chilly up there.
Absolutely. I think that the home field advantage is still very important despite, the lack of full stadiums. And I don't think that I was always a believer in that line of thinking, but listening to Steve Tasker kind of changed my mind. Coming from a famous player standpoint with tons of experience, if you can avoid having to travel, then you're going to be better off for it. And one of the points I've been thinking about as far as specifically related to the pandemic is that just like us regular average Joes, these professional players have had to do a lot of mental and physical gymnastics to be able to constantly abide by these protocols, constantly undergo tons of stress, constantly worrying about performing at the highest level despite all that. And then you add traveling into the mix, which is naturally an uncomfortable and taxing and stressful experience. I think that you want to try and avoid that as much as possible. Fans or not, Buffalo is not an easy place to play. It just isn't. It's much the same as a lot of the other northeastern cities. It's just not easy. Whether it's natural grass or a turf field, it's just not an easy place to play. And if I would rather play at home, then I'd go to Pittsburgh, to be honest. And I would assert that most of the Bills players would feel the same if you asked them.
All right. Thank you, Eric. # no dome ever. Okay. Just want to say that again. We got another super chat. Someone named, what's this? Rico_BF. I don't know this person, but I like what he's saying about a great looking group. Shout out to the moderator. You're right. We are looking snazzy, Rico. Thank you very much for making those podcasters look bad every week. Take that, podcasters. All right, guys. Eric, you wrote a fantastic piece this week making the argument that Josh Allen should be the MVP this season. Not should be an MVP contender, but should be the MVP. Really quick, can we get now if you want to read the whole thing, because it's a great long article, check it out on the buffalofanatics.com. He is our BF spy, but he wrote a special piece this week about it for the King, for Pierre Kingpin. Shout out to you, Pierre. That one was for you. But Eric, could you give us maybe a few points from your argument that Josh Allen not only should be an MVP contender, but should be the 2020 NFL MVP?
So really, I want to start with how they define the MVP, how the MVP is chosen. It's chosen for the player that meant the most to their team. And it's obviously Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills. I don't see any way that you can realistically argue that Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes has been more beneficial for their team. And the most basic principle of that is that if you take Josh Allen off this team, if you take him out of this offense, it's a 180. You're going in the opposite direction and nowhere close. Josh Allen is the key to everything in this offense. He's proven that this year. He's proven many of the national pundits wrong, who, if you ask them even just a year ago when he was improving in his second year, they would have said, no, Josh Allen will never win MVP. But this year, he's proven them wrong. And everything functions through him. If you look at the gains he's made, not just in the statistics that everybody sees most often, such as touchdowns and stuff like that. And I know completion percentage is flawed, but he's made improvements in how he plays pre-snap movement. He's made improvements in how he reads defenses. Dan Orlovsky broke down film from, I believe it was 2 weeks ago. And Dan Orlovsky said that one of the things that Josh Allen is doing extremely well is diagnosing what the defense is doing pre-snap and then using it against them. The touchdown to Jake Kumaro is a great example of that. He diagnoses, he reads the safeties, then he tricks the safeties with his eyes, and then he throws. And it's an absolute rope, touchdown. Without him, that play's simply not going to happen regardless of Daboll's play call. Something that I didn't include in my piece because it doesn't necessarily have to do with Josh Allen, more so Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes has shown a vulnerability and a weakness this year that Josh Allen hasn't, plain and simple. I know a lot of people wouldn't like to hear that. They'd probably hate on it a little bit, but If you look at Patrick Mahomes on third down, especially third and long this season, he is dropping back 10 to 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage. When he does that, he completely ruins any chance of his offensive line being able to block for him. He completely breaks the play, and he ends up having to do something miraculous just to complete a pass. That's not a mistake Josh Allen makes. If you look at his release time, when the ball comes out, how he escapes the pocket laterally, not up and down the field, that's not a mistake Josh Allen is making. I think that Josh Allen has nipped at Patrick Mahomes' heels this season and now supplanted him. That's my simple take on it.
Oh, well, I mean, that's not a simple take, my friend. You've really done a great job, and I love your point about Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you could make an argument that given Mahomes' play the last few weeks, that this is a two-man race between Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. And Mahomes.
I do, yes. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. DK, Mr. Super Chatter, thank you so much. He says, love the show. Allen for MVP. Thank you. If Allen has Kelsey, is he the MVP? Well, Kelsey certainly helps, right? Dawson Knox is like Kelsey, but not as good, Also, 2011 Nissan replaced the battery in Sparks, but won't start. Suggestions. Mr. DK, we are writers, okay? Do you know anything about writers? We don't work on cars, okay? It's not going to happen. And if we do, it's a problem. We write the manuals, That's it. All right, Zach, let me come to you real quick. This MVP discussion. One thing that drives me crazy is that, when they talk about touchdowns, like they always talk about passing touchdowns. But what's the difference between a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown? They'll say, oh, Allen has 34 touchdowns. Like, kind of. Does he? Why do you suppose they see it that way? And do you think that discounts his play this season? Like, do you think they're using that against him, that a number of his touchdowns are rushing touchdowns?
Well, I would just have to bring up two recent examples to say that rushing touchdowns do not discredit an MVP candidate. Cam Newton in 2015, Lamar Jackson last year. Both of them had a significant amount of rushing touchdowns, and they were obviously that makes them more important because you have that multiple dimension. Those running quarterbacks, the mobile quarterbacks who can get those rushing touchdowns, that makes you even more valuable to your team as opposed to someone like Rodgers who's more of a pocket passer. In fact, I know the Buffalo Bills PR team who does those tremendous stat sheets every week previewing the games, they posted two interesting stats. Josh Allen has accounted for 82.7% of the Bills' offensive touchdowns and over 80% of their offensive yards, both of which are ranked first and second in the league. He has accounted for more touchdowns of the Bills' touchdowns than Aaron Rodgers does, and that's partly because he does get rushing touchdowns and passing touchdowns. So I would argue that makes him super valuable to the team because, like Eric said, without him, it's a completely different offense. Matt Barkley is not Josh Allen, not anywhere close. This would not be the same offense that would be. But getting back to the original question at hand, no, I think that getting the rushing touchdowns, that just makes him even more valuable and bolsters his case because you talk about total touchdowns. You don't just talk about passing touchdowns. It's about how many scores you get, and Josh Allen has a lot of scores regardless of whether it's throwing or on the ground. It just makes him that much more valuable.
Right, like how much did you mean to your team, right, Zach?
Exactly.
I love it. Okay. I need to do something because we're getting spammed by Abizoina, Wyoming. Shout out, Wyoming. Hello, Wyoming. We know you're there. We appreciate you. Yes, Josh Allen played college in Wyoming. Please don't spam the comments. Thank you very much. But shout out, Wyoming. I love it. Zach, great take. In fact, I know some of the stats you listed, I feel like you stole directly from Eric. So, a little bit of plagiarism because that stuff was in his article. But that's all right. I'll let it go this time. Let's see. Alex, what do you think? What is going to hold Allen back in terms of the MVP vote?
Well, you don't want to hear it, but national stigma. I don't know if we want to give it to the Buffalo boy yet. Besides that, I think the touchdowns. I think Rodgers got a higher touchdown amount total. But it's tough, because he's got more yards, he's got more complete games, but Rodgers has more touchdowns, but yada, yada, yada. But I think the big thing is the turnovers. I don't think we talk about that. I know Josh has 9 picks, but how many fumble losses does he have? I think he's got at least 3 or 4. So that probably does play quite a role into the equation. But if I did have a pick, I would pick Josh Allen. I think this is the story of the year. And I think we're right at the right time. Amazing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I totally think Rodgers is having an excellent season. I mean, the guy has had, how many games with like 3 touchdowns, no interceptions? He's had a couple of stinker games, for sure. For example, when he played the Bucs earlier this season. But last week's drubbing of the Titans, was pretty telling. So it's hard to take it away from Rodgers. And I'm going to come to you, Mitch, on this. You've seen Rodgers' game this season, and I know you're going to give him his mad props. I mean, has Allen really outplayed him? Is that a fair argument, or are we being homers here?
I mean, you could make that argument, I think, just because, the thing for me that sticks out about why maybe Josh Allen should win MVP, guys, is that the Bills have played the 4th hardest schedule in the league this season. Yeah. And Josh Allen is just torching everybody, especially, down the stretch here. Mm-hmm. And, nothing, against the Packers. They're a great team. They're going to be probably the 1 seed, but their schedule has been a little easy. And, I think because of that, I mean, we're talking about Josh Allen dominating good teams, Seahawks, the Patriots, the Broncos. These are good defenses that he is making look terrible. I think that argument, you could say, hey, maybe Allen has outplayed Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I think the problem is that Aaron Rodgers is a former MVP. He's a former Super Bowl champion. He's one of the faces of the league. And Josh Allen's kind of this new guy on the scene. And I think it's hard for people to sort of accept him, as an MVP kind of a guy. But the eye test should tell you that he is certainly an MVP, definitely a candidate, and arguably should win it this season.
Yeah, Captain Obvious points something out, which I think actually may have bearing. I know he might have been making a joke. I'm not sure. But Allen hasn't won a playoff game. How can you say Allen? Well, of course, MVP is a regular season award. But is that playoff loss lingering in people's minds? Do people blame Allen? Eric, what do you think about that idea?
I mean, maybe that playoff game is lingering in people's minds, but to be frank, it shouldn't. The MVP is not adjudged on the previous season. It's adjudged on the now, not the present, not the past, not the future, the now. And what I think is important is that we kind of make that distinguishing factor matter in the discussion. It doesn't matter what he did last year in the playoffs. And if you take a look at his play, if you're not Nick Wright and you're not blind, and you actually take a look at the Bills film from this season, you'll be able to use your eyes and your brain to be able to interpret that Josh Allen has made leaps that are in the orders of magnitude. Okay, we're not talking about just like a 5% gain in completion percentage. We're not just talking about a few more touchdowns. We're talking about going from a wiffle ball bat to a piece of steel. Okay, this guy is destroying opposing defenses. He's not just winning games here and there. He's not just managing games. By the way, like Patrick Mahomes has done for half the season. So he's not just winning games by a slight margin. I made the point about the 1-score games thing with the Chiefs this year. He's destroying teams. It's just plain and simple. And I see no reason why that's going to stop. I think if, like I said in the end of my piece, if you haven't taken notice, you better look now, because he's coming. And he's been coming after teams, all season. Look what he just did to Bill Belichick. I mean, how can you make that point about the playoff game after what he did to the Patriots? It's ridiculous.
Oh, boy, Eric, I love the heat you're bringing. I have to quibble with you on one thing in terms of Nick Wright. Okay. It is not fair to ask someone to use their brain if they do not have one. Just saying. I mean, come on. So, let's let's shift gears a little bit. Before we shift gears, I guess I want to get like a percentage, real quick, a percentage. What do you think is the chance Allen takes home the MVP this season? And I'm going to end with you, Eric, since you are the expert on this one. Zach, just give me a percentage. What's the percentage he's going to get the MVP this season?
After writing my piece, after everything that's come to be, I'm putting it 90%.
90%. Oh, okay. Mitch, how about you?
Man, I wish I was that optimistic. I just think the stigma with Josh Allen, the pre-draft narrative, and then this whole narrative about Buffalo, I just think that's just hurting his chances. And it's sad to say because I really think it's nonsense that's the case, but it feels like no one wants to believe that the Bills are good and that Josh Allen's an MVP. So I'll put it about 35 to 45%, just because Rodgers and the Packers are just such a name.
Wow. Okay. Alex, what do you think? Chances he's taking home the MVP this season?
Yeah, well, I think it depends if he plays today. I think if they keep him in the game, he puts up some stats. I think he's like 65, 70. As of right now, I think he's about 40. So
that's a great point. Great point.
Wow. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Gonna play. They want to lock up that 2 seed, and they're playing the dangerous Chicago team playing to win 2. So
okay.
I don't know.
That's a great point. Yeah, because Rodgers could create some separation today. Excellent point. Zach, what do you think of the chances?
Well, I think as of right now, it's 50-50. It could very well depend on what happens today. But I will just add, too, that one thing that could put Allen over the top is the fact that the general trend the last couple of years, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, when they won MVP, it was because their offense just surged out of nowhere. Mahomes came out of nowhere, backing up Alex Smith, and in his first year, he gets league MVP. Lamar Jackson, his first full year as a starter, their offense takes a leap and came out of nowhere, and he became MVP. And Josh Allen and the Bills have been the surprise offense of the year, so that could be something to think about.
Another great point.
So what's the percentage again? 50-50?
I would say it's 50-50.
Okay, I'm going to give it a 5% chance. You guys are way more hopeful than me, but hey, 5% isn't nothing. You know, that was the last time we could say that about Bills to be. All right, let's shift gears here. Great job, Eric, on the Josh Allen MVP stuff. Remember, check out his stuff on the BuffaloFanatics.com. In fact, check out all these guys' stuff. They're all fantastic. Mitch writes the Thursday Thought. Alex does our pregame injury report. Zach, he's writing profiles on Bills players. Fantastic stuff. But let's get to the fish, who we seek to squish, okay? DK asks a question about Tua. You know, Tua's going to be playing today. Fitzy is out with COVID. Should the Finns trade Tua and draft a QB? Tua equals Tyrod 2.0. All right, guys. What are we seeing from Tua Tagovailoa this season? And what, you know, let's assume the Bills are playing to win today, because I think they are. What sort of threat does he pose to this Bills defense? Mitch, I'm going to start with you. What do you think of Tua so far?
Listen, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I have been unimpressed with Tua. I think that he's been very conservative. He's kind of been chucked down Charlie, as Brandon Bean likes to say. Just doesn't seem to really be pushing the ball down the field, which, you know, we saw what happens when you have Tyrod Taylor and Trent Edwards. When you don't push the ball down the field, it just handicaps your offense so much that it's hard to really get anything going. But I do want to say, I mean, let's not forget, like, you know, for us Bills fans, I mean, how everybody seemed to quit on Josh Allen so early in his career, and how we, you know, defended him. And of course, over time, he's developed into this MVP, you know, caliber quarterback. And although Tua has been unimpressive, I don't think Miami should move on from him yet. You know, this is the guy they just drafted 5th overall. They got to give him some time to develop and to grow a little bit. But, you know, Tua's not been the most exciting quarterback. It doesn't help that Herbert and Burrow have been having tremendous rookie seasons, which kind of makes his season look even, you know, more subpar. But Tua's been okay, but I'm not necessarily going to give up on the guy after a few games, his rookie season, where he's looked a little shaky.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think people like to judge his quarterback so fast nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, what do you think when you see Tua? What do you see from, he had that giant hip injury in the off season, or last season in college. Could that be playing a part with his play this season in terms of his mobility and his ability to put a lot of power into throwing the ball?
That's a good question, Adam. He's got to be about almost a year post-surgery now. I think that's fully healed up. However, that is a big-time injury. Dislocating that hip. Obviously, that ruins some careers, but medicine's come a long way, and they know how to kind of diagnose, repair, and fix it at this point. How do I feel about Tua? What I would like to say to my friends is he's tough. But, he's young. I think realistically, what is he here? His rookie floor is Tyrod Taylor. So I think you got to give the kid time. I'm sure he's got some type of ceiling. I don't think he's anywhere in Josh Allen's stratosphere, but obviously he can probably be an above average starting quarterback.
All right, thank you so much, and it's good to know. I mean, the hip injury was so devastating to watch, and I think we all, those of us who are old enough, remember Bo Jackson, and we're like, oh no, one of those moments. Eric, I want to come to you on this one. Tua's play has been criticized, and we've talked about Tua sucks. He's Tyrod, perhaps, or maybe he's obviously developing all that stuff. But the fact is, as Bruce Exclusive likes to talk about, and I like to come at him once in a while about wins are not a QB stat. That's fair, but they're not a QB stat. And the fact is, Tua's been winning. Is it possible that his play is determined more by what the coaches want from him? What do you think about that, Eric?
I think that Tua's play is more part of a concert, not a solo. I think that the rest of the team around him is creating a symphony. This isn't him just going off on his own on the tangents. It's a piece of a bigger thing. I believe the Miami Dolphins have excellent unit cohesion. I believe they have excellent leadership, but I believe that the close attention that the Dolphins leadership plays also has something to do with Tua's current shortcomings. I'm a big believer that Chan Gailey and Brian Flores, are kind of keeping him in quarterback jail, if you will. A lot of the stuff that he did earlier in the season is very vanilla. That started to change a little bit, but then when Flores started to pull him, it got vanilla again. So I think that there's issues with how much do we take the leash off of Tua and then we start putting it back on. And as far as moving on from Tua, I don't think it's possible right now. I think Brian Flores is already much too committed. He's already gone too far down this road. They're going to have to ride this out with Tua and find out what he truly has in the tank. And moreover, for the Dolphins GM, the Dolphins have a lot of draft picks. They have a ton of draft capital. Houston's pick that they got with the Laramie Tunsil trade for next year is going to be a top 5 pick. They're going to want to support Tua with weapons. They're going to want to give him the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes treatment and see where it takes him. So I think they're much too committed.
All right. Yeah, Eric, I'm with you there. Zach, I want to come to you. You are a player profile kind of guy. You study the players, maybe a little too much. Take it easy, bro. I have felt watching Tua that, and this is a strange comp. I haven't heard a lot, but I believe it. I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. I think Tua reminds me of a young Drew Brees. People forget how mobile Drew Brees was coming out of Purdue. One thing Tua does really well is he gets the ball out of his hands quickly. One of the reasons I think Flores likes him is he doesn't take a lot of sacks. It's about, 3 steps, he throws. And he reminds me of Brees when he was with the Chargers. I remember watching him at Purdue, and he was much more mobile than people remember. Not that Tua is Lamar Jackson. He's not. But he's got some moves. What do you think of that comparison? And if not, is there someone you think would be a better comp than young Drew Brees?
Well, I think that's actually a pretty good comparison for him. I mean, like you said, Drew Brees has always been known for not really taking a lot of sacks. He gets the ball out really quickly. He's very good at that. I didn't really know much about his mobility, so I'll take your word on that too. And Tua, I think that people actually were making that comparison around the draft, like talking about him. Yeah, he's not the most mobile guy. Of course, when he was at Alabama and they had Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurts was known for the athleticism. Tua was just known for replacing him at halftime in that game and then becoming the starter. And nothing against his time at Alabama, but their recent track record at quarterback is very iffy. Anyways, but going back to the question, yeah, Tua, it could be a really good comparison. He could very well end up having a Breeze-like career. I will say it is, for everyone saying that they should move on from him, he hasn't even started a full season yet. It's way too quick. I mean, even when people were like talking about Ed Oliver being a bust, it was kind of quick. You just say that you need to wait until year 3. And obviously the Dolphins wouldn't have taken Tua if they didn't think he was the guy. So Dolphin fans need to have patience with him. That being said, obviously he will probably need to take a big step next year to alleviate some of that concern. And as an additional element to it, I know people are talking about the quarterback controversy with him and Fitzpatrick. Some are making the parallels between Flutie and Rob Johnson. I can really see that, but I was having this discussion with my dad the other day, and he was born in the late 50s. He grew up with the Bills. He was saying that it was almost – he thought he recalled times where Jack Kemp would be pulled for Daryl LaMonica to give them a spark. So that could be an additional comparison of this current controversy.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened before in NFL history. Certainly coaches, particularly in the past, have, played the hot hand. And I actually like that Brian Flores is doing that. I know a lot of people are critical of him, but by the way, Mr. Blakely, we compare quarterbacks to help people maybe see the potential for a quarterback going forward. That's the idea. So it's not just to, have a big dick contest. So that's fun too. But no, but I mean, I actually, Flores, you got to give him credit. The guy, I think he's told Tua, don't screw up, be conservative, don't get us into any trouble. If we need to have some high risk throws, we're going to bring in Fitzy. That's his expertise. And let's face it, Fitzy is better off the bench. Throughout his career, he's been better off the bench. It's a smart move. And so I actually like what Flores has done. You got to give him credit, and, the numbers show it. All right, guys.
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, just a quick point on Flores. I think he is Sean McDermott 2018, 2019. And what I mean by that is McDermott got a little nervous when Josh Allen started making some turnovers, throwing some interceptions, putting the ball on the ground, things like that. I think you made a great point, Adam, and I think Flores is kind of doing that McDermott thing a little bit before McDermott changed. And what I mean by that is, McDermott unleashed him this year. It's plain and simple. He told Dable and Allen, go do whatever you want, go destroy other teams. I'm not going to get involved. I'll just stay over here and clap. And that's what he's doing. And so for me, I think Flores is kind of on that similar track as far as McDermott's mindset, what it used to be and what it is now. And if they stick with Tua, if they surround him with weapons, if they do right things right, they'll probably be on a similar track in a year or two.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And I like the fact that Miami and Buffalo might be back as rivals. That's fun for me. All right, guys, we've got a few minutes left. Let's first go around the horn about who. Let's try to keep it brief. Who is a Bills player you think that's going to make an impact in today's game? Whether you think the starters are playing or not. Because, listen, even if the backups are in, we want to see the fish get squished. That's the whole point. And we want to sweep that AFC East. We want to get that done. Another thing to, knock down. But who do you think could be a real impact player in today's game at 1 p.m.? Alex, I'm going to start with you, my friend. Who are you looking for on the Bills to be a real impact player?
Well, are we talking that the team is resting the guys or not? I think they are. So I think the one stud that they're going to leave in the game is Gabriel Davis. And I think he's going to eat it up. I almost want to say Antonio Williams, but, he hasn't really had a breakout with a running back yet. This could be a day where we do run the ball a lot. But I'd like to see Gabriel Davis.
Gabriel Davis. I like that. Okay. Zach, is there a player that you think might, first of all, do you think they're going to play? Starters are going to play, If not, who's your guy? Offense, defense? Who's going to be that Bills player that's really going to contribute to their play today?
Well, I do think the starters will play. Like I said earlier, I think they're going to play as long as it takes to secure the win. But I will say that if they don't, I would say my breakout player will be a guy who has shown in his limited capacity this year that he has made big plays. I would say Dane Jackson could be that impact guy today. If they do bring in the backups and it's a tight game, he could very well have like a game-sealing interception or something.
All right. Eric, same question to you. What do you think, my friend?
So, first of all, I see the starters playing probably most of the game. I just think that that's where it's going to go. And as far as the player that I want to see that I think can make a difference today, and we have seen him all season, but I think it's going to be in a different capacity, I would like to see Brian Daboll experiment with Isaiah McKenzie in the slot. And I say that because Alex already talked at length and in great detail and did a fantastic job talking about Cole Beasley and his injury. But if he can't go, I don't think Kenny Stills, he can play the slot, but he's much more of a, that overall kind of general skill set receiver. I'd like to see if Mckenzie can fill in the slot, and I'd like to see at what level of proficiency does he have playing that slot wide receiver position. Can he be used in that position? But if they do it, kind of walk that fine line and don't do it too much, and maybe just show a little bit, but don't get too deep into the weeds. But I would like to see if he can run some of those routes.
Ooh, I love that take on Mckenzie. That's a great one, Eric. Yeah, I mean, we do need to see what we can have behind Beasley. Excellent take. And yeah, I mean, I think we've all enjoyed watching Mckenzie this season. His Twitter timeline is, as the kids say, fire. So, make sure you're following him. He's a good time. Mitch, who is your player you're going to be watching for on the Bills today versus the Fish?
Well, I think, I believe that the starters are going to be rested a little bit. And I think one position where that's probably going to happen is at DN, because your two starting defensive ends, and Hughes and Addison are both, over 30 years old. They called up Mike Love. So I feel like today we're going to see a lot of AJ Epinesa. That's my guy to keep an eye out for. I think he's been playing a lot better down the stretch. I wrote my article 2 weeks ago that he's lost 20 pounds since entering the NFL. He's down a lot of weight, which I think has made his transition a little slower than I think fans hoped for. But today, week 17, he's played a bunch now down the stretch. I'm excited to see what he can do, maybe in a larger role today.
Ooh, I really enjoyed AJ Epinesa. And Mitch, your piece this week was fantastic about the sort of body transformation of Epinesa. Guys, check that out. It's the Thursday Thought this week on the BuffaloFanatics.com. Excellent piece about AJ, and I really like what he's turned into. He's the guy that's making Trent Murphy's ass on the pine.
Yeah.
The guy I'm going to be looking for this week is Tyler Matakavich, special teams player. Against the Steelers, he only, had 15 snaps, 15 on defense. And he was second on the team in tackles. That dude is a tackling machine. I wouldn't want to see him in coverage, but watch out for Tyler if he is in the game, if he gets a lot of snaps. I like this kid, and when we go against run-heavy teams, I wouldn't mind seeing him back there because he's a dude who can thump people. So watch out for him. He's my guy to watch today. All right, guys, we're getting close to the end. Let's get to our predictions about Bills versus the Fish. All right, let's see. Zach, I'm going to start with you. I want to know who's going to win. Will the Bills play their starters? How long? And what's the final score?
Well, I would say that I know I've been saying that the Bills will keep their starters in for as long as it takes to seal the win. I think that could very well be, most likely, I would say a half, maybe a little bit into the third quarter. I think the Bills win this game by a score of 28-14.
All right, 28-14. I like it. Eric, let's get to you. Same question. Who's going to win? The starters play, and what's the final score?
Okay, I first of all, I have the Bills starting their starters into the third quarter. I think that McDermott and Daboll want to kind of avoid that third quarter slump that we've all talked so much at length about. Kind of get into that third quarter, make sure that you're good to go, and then get the guys out of there. And as far as the score goes, I don't think that the Dolphins can put more than 17 points on this defense. So I'm taking the Bills 24-14.
24-14. Oh boy. So you're touting the defense, which I like. This isn't just offense pulling up. Okay, I like it. Alex, same question. What do you see in today's game?
Yeah, I see the backups actually coming through. I see a tight game, more on the low scoring end, especially if Barkley's coming for 10th time, and I'd like to see 19-17 Buffalo.
Okay.
Big game at the end.
Okay. I like it. Barkley's going to be going dollar Bitcoin on the Dolphins. Mitch, same question. What do you see? Are the Bills going to sweep the AFC East here?
Even though I believe that the starters will be benched at some point in this game, I do think they win. The weather today is not very pretty in Buffalo. We're talking mid-30s, low 30s, wind, this, that mixed precip or snow rain kind of combo. And Tua said in the media, he's only seen snow once in his life and has never played in cold weather before. From Hawaii, played at Bama, now on Miami. So I think even with the backups, I don't really see Tua doing a hell of a lot in this game, especially in the weather. So I'm going to go an ugly 16-10 win for the Bills.
Ooh, 16-10. That brings me back. That's like Bills the past 20 years. Usually we lose those. I'm actually going to pick the Dolphins. And I think the reason is I think the Bills are going to play a vanilla offense, a vanilla defense. I think the Bills want to face the Dolphins in the playoffs. And I think that would be smart for them. And yes, they're not going to win the division. They'll have the 3 seed potentially, although if both they and the Steelers lose, they still get the 2 seed. So I think that they might be like, okay, Dolphins, you go ahead in, and then we trounce them in the first round. That's what I'd like to see. All right, guys, really quick, around the horn. Tell us what you do for the Buffalo Fanatics. Mitch, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, so I write the Thursday Thought column. Comes out every Thursday at 1 o'clock. And just kind of a discussion-based article to get, my take on a certain topic and hear from fans as well. This week I did a power rankings for the teams I'd like to see the Bills play in the wild card from worst to first as far as the teams I think that match up with Buffalo. So you can go check that out on buffalofanatics.com. Follow me on Twitter at Mitchell_Broder. Otherwise, that is what I do here for BF.
Yeah, and Mitch has been more and more involved with the video stuff, which is really great. He's got a bright future here. Don't forget, it's thebuffalofanatics.com, so watch out for that. Zach, really quick, what do you do for the Buffalo Fanatics?
Well, for the most part, I do the weekly player profiles. I've been doing them all season long, all regular season. Whether or not that continues into the playoffs is another thing, but they usually come out on Tuesdays, and yes, and then sometimes I will also do other articles. Like I did a power ranking of the coaches for this year. I did a midseason awards article. I will be doing a full end of season award article coming out within the next week or two. And you can follow me for Twitter content. I'm very active on that, as sad as it is to say, but at the Twitter handle below at ZVaughn2712.
All right, fantastic. Eric, you are our newest contributor. Tell us about what you do for the Buffalo Fanatics.
So I normally write the SPY column. It is a column that goes in depth, kind of a more long form piece. It covers an important aspect of the opponent, or, it can be, customized to other needs, say in the off season. We'll probably get creative with it. But you can follow me on Twitter at BF_Spy, excuse me. And be sure to check out all these guys' pieces. I mean, everybody here is a great writer. What we're doing at the Buffalo Fanatics is amazing, all of us. Be sure to check everything out. There's something that's going to be your flavor. Trust me. You're going to be able to find something that's going to be enjoyable to read and enjoy. So get out there and follow all these guys.
Yeah, but don't follow their fashion trends. I'll tell you, those guys, they look like bums sometimes. I'm just saying. Alex, I'm going to finish with you. Tell us about what you do with a stethoscope and being all doctorly.
Yeah, so you catch me at eye doctor. Obviously, I'm a eye specialist. I like to write about the injuries. Obviously, say my forte is like the weekend write-up, kind of recap what's gone on in practice, kind of revisit all the injuries and give some predictions on who's playing, and what to expect.
Yeah, Alex does a great job with that stuff. His pregame injury piece is coming out right after this show, so check that out on the BuffaloFanatics.com. His stuff is always fire, and he's got great opinions, why things are going wrong, and how. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for checking us out this morning. Thanks for being with us on the Writers' Room. Stay tuned for more great Buffalo Fanatics content on the Buffalo Fanatics Tailgate pregame show. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Just holding here.
And welcome back in, guys. This is the BF Tailgate Game Day Roundtable. I am Jeff Landers. That is my man Clay Troya adjusting his camera. And at the bottom, Z-Bot with the 14 jersey. Z-Bot, is that a Fitzpatrick or a Stephon Diggs?
You know I'm not messing around, my man. I got the Diggs on. It's I've had plenty of 14s in my day. This is my favorite one so far.
Okay, but I would not blame you for going with the Fitzpatrick jersey today.
It'd be a good day for it, wouldn't it?
It would be a good day to show your support for him on the COVID list. Hey, guys, smash that like button, share. We had 200 people in the room just a minute ago with the Writers' Room. Let's get 200 again. Let's get up to 300 over the next hour and a half as we take you up to kickoff in Orchard Park. Miami Dolphins taking on the Buffalo Bills today. Guys, I think really the topic on our minds is the debate of two schools of thought, and that is Josh Allen should play and Josh Allen should not play. Clay, where do you stand?
I don't think the starters should play. I mean, honestly, I know a lot of people are saying, get the win, secure the 2 seed and everything like that. Really, I don't care if we have the 2 seed or not. I don't have a lot of faith in the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round or this week for that matter. So what's more important, getting that one extra seed higher or making sure that all of your starters are safe and healthy going into the playoffs? I mean, if you play your starters today, it's a big risk with not as high of a reward, in my opinion.
Z-Bot, where are you standing?
I'm on the complete opposite thought process. I'm all in today. I want the starters out there. Something about it. Something about this team. I watched that stretch where they lost to Kansas City, then they lost to Tennessee, barely beat the Patriots and the Jets. It seemed like when this team gets down, it can tend to linger a little bit. The momentum that they have going right now, the ability to knock out a divisional opponent, not face them in the playoffs simply based on the fact that, do you want to play a team 3 times in one season? There's different factors here that I think matter. And now that we have fans in the stands, does that play a role? 6,700 fans is an infinite amount more than 0. And who knows, the way things play out, the playoffs could go through Buffalo. So I look at today as not only a way to build on momentum, but secure the 2 seed on your own terms. It just seems that everybody is automatically assuming that somebody is going to get hurt if the starters play. I understand you're running the risk, and it is a risk, but to me, the way it looks today, it seems like they're going to go with the starters, and I think it's the right choice.
Well, I agree with Clay here, Z-Bot. So it's 2-on-1. We're going to rest the starters. Look, the Bills cannot win a Super Bowl
without Josh Allen. He's the best player on the team at the position where there's the biggest drop-off. You can't win the Super Bowl with Matt Barkley under center. You have to have Josh Allen under center for the Bills to even have a chance to sniff the Lombardi. So don't even put him out there. Like, I totally understand the argument for playing him a series to avoid that rust, but they had a bye week and they came out and they played very well against the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm not worried about rust. The rust is a minimal reward against the risk. To avoid rust would be a minimal reward. Now, I also understand the 2 over the 3 seed if you think the Steelers are going to win in the first round. Otherwise, there's not a lot of difference between the 2 and the 3 seed. If you think a team can come in and take care of business in the wild card round against Pittsburgh, there's not going to be a lot of difference between the 2 and the 3 going forward. So I'm all about seeing Josh Allen quarantined today. Don't let him out of his house. Let Brittany hang out with him, while he watches the game. It's fine. He doesn't need to be anywhere near the stadium. Don't risk the injury to the guy who can deliver you the Super Bowl. So with that said, those are the 2 schools of thought, guys. Do we even need to talk about the Dolphins, Clay? Do we have to talk about the Dolphins game, or could we move on to the scenarios that we want to see?
I mean, the Dolphins are still a relevant team. It's not just like, no matter who's on the field, the Bills aren't just going to roll over, and the Dolphins certainly aren't either. They need this win to get into the playoffs. So they're going to come out, playing as hard as they can. It's going to be cold here in Buffalo. I took my dog out this morning. It's a little chilly, no snow, could get a little bit of moisture, but not too much. So, I still think that this Dolphins team is a good team. They have a very good defense, one of the best defensive secondaries in the league, if not the best, probably the best corner tandem in the league. They're a very good team. So, we can't underestimate them no matter who's on the field. And, I think maybe even if we just have Josh Allen in for a quarter, see how he does. And I don't know if it's against league rules or anything like that, but maybe just have someone in your ear throughout the game, letting you know how the Pittsburgh game is going, and just seeing, hey, should we put Allen in for a drive maybe and see if we can get some points out of it? As long as I don't want Josh Allen to see the field is like a lot. I'm okay if he has a few drives here and there, but he's the most likely to get hurt. And yeah, this Dolphins team is still good, but I still think it should be it'll be interesting to see what they have up their sleeve for today.
Zebot, who's going to make the biggest difference if the Bills don't play their starters? Is it going to be Matt Barkley against Tua? Who's going to be the difference maker in this game, assuming the Bills don't play Josh? Then maybe they sit down Stephon Diggs and a Jerry Hughes and a Jordan Poyer type. Who's going to be the difference maker?
Well, to touch on your guys' school of thought first, I think if you're not willing to play the starters, don't play him at all. What's the point of giving him a quarter or even a drive if the whole goal is not to risk injury? Then, like you said, Jeff, earlier, leave him at home if that's the desired goal here. If you want them to play, I don't see a difference between giving Allen a series and giving Allen the game. To me, the intentions seem to be either you want him on the field or you don't. I understand that the record is there for the yardage. That seems to be a big deal, even though I feel like they make it out to not be. I think it definitely is. So I could see that being the reasoning. But I'm willing to agree with you guys completely if they take that school of thought from the get-go. I'd much rather see them go that route with nobody on the field as opposed to giving them a series, because how much worse would it be if we found out after the fact that the goal was to only give them a series or two and then something happened? But if they do rest their starters, I look for if he's activated at least. I think, is Yeldon activated? He should be, right, for this game at least.
Do we have inactives yet?
We don't have the inactives yet. We'll get them at, I think, 11:30 Eastern time.
Yeah, okay, that's what I figured. But I have a feeling that if they're going to go that route, then Yeldon is going to be somebody who gets a lot of touches today, and he's also somebody who hasn't seen the field much. I look for him to be a productive guy today if they go away from Moss and Singletary. And then you got to think that Isaiah McKenzie would get a lot of touches today, and perhaps they'll run some different style plays that they tend to get him involved with. I love the packages that they run with Isaiah McKenzie. Maybe they try him out with Barkley and see what works and what doesn't moving forward, because he's good for an off-kiltered play. Maybe they pull that out in the playoffs. Who knows? So it'd be nice to see him get some touches. But if I could think of one guy that I think would probably get a lot of workload today if the Bills go away from their starters, it's probably TJ Yeldon.
Clay, what do you think?
I mean, I don't know. If they play the starters, it's kind of hard to say. If they decide to bench people, we have people asking if Jake Fromm might play and things like that. It's hard to say what they're going to do. They've been playing it so close to the vest. It's honestly impressive how tight of a ship McDermott runs out there, and just that no one knows what the plan is, which is awesome. There has been no leaks, kind of shows that culture that he's built out there, and kind of the trust that the team has for him, and the trust that he has back for the players. So, I could see Fromm maybe in the fourth quarter if they do decide to, if they start with Barkley. I think we will see Fromm. If we don't see any Josh Allen today, I would expect to see some Fromm toward the end, because we haven't seen any Fromm yet. So, I think it could be kind of at least a little bit of an audition, because Matt Barkley's contract is up at the end of the season. He's, there's a decision point for him after then. Do we want to keep him? Do we want to stick with Fromm? They're similar play style guys. So, if we don't see Josh Allen at all, I do think we see Jake Fromm.
So then back to my question then, who's going to be the difference maker for the Bills? Can the Bills beat this Dolphins team with a Matt Barkley, with a Jake Fromm, with essentially, because you can't rest every starter. It would be mathematically impossible with the 46, 47 player active roster on game day to sit every starter, because then you're really taxing your backups who also play special teams. So who's going to be the difference maker?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest. I don't think, if you don't play Josh Allen, I don't think you can win the game. If he plays none of the game, if he plays a quarter or a half, I'd say you have a chance, just because, historically they're very good in that first quarter, first half. We've seen them put up 28 points in the first two quarters before, and they could certainly do that again. The Dolphins like to play man defense, but I think, if none of those guys are out there, if Stephon Diggs is sitting, I think Isaiah McKenzie could be a guy that they try to go to a lot. We might see a lot of Dawson Knox. If he stays in, Tyler Kroft is out on the COVID list. So, I think if we don't see Josh Allen, if we don't see Stephon Diggs, could be Dawson Knox and Isaiah McKenzie getting a lot of targets, just getting those guys some extra reps before the playoffs.
All right, if you got a comment in the comment section, get in the super chat and we'll definitely get on it and talk about it, get it shown up there for you. Get in the super chat right now. We're at 195 people watching right now. 196 just went up. Get us to 200 in the next 15 minutes. We want to hit 300 before game time. Zeba, you've had time to think about it now. Who's going to make a difference, assuming the Bills don't play the starters?
I'm going to go a different route here. I think the difference in the game entirely is going to be whether Tua Tagovailoa has a decent game or not. He has not had an opportunity to play in weather quite like what he's going to play in Buffalo today. And I understand that is the most worn-out argument in the history of Buffalo sports. Oh, it's so cold. Oh, it's snowing. Tua grew up in Hawaii and played football in Alabama, and he admittedly said the first time he ever saw a snow-like atmosphere was in Alabama, who he jokingly said gets snow once every 4 years. He's never played in a snowy-like environment. And frankly, I don't think he's ever played in an environment that is near the freezing level that we see in Buffalo today. I am a firm believer that Tua goes out there and absolutely craps the bed today. I just see it happening. There's too much going on in that Miami locker room, and I'll give Brian Flores credit for what seems like it could be a disaster in other locker rooms. Seems to be working decently in Miami, although I wonder how much it would have been perceived that way had Miami lost to the Raiders last week. I'm not quite sure. But the fact that Fitz is not the safety valve today, and the fact that Tua knows that he would have probably have been benched had he, at some point in this game not solidified a victory and Fitzpatrick was able to be utilized today. I don't know how you could possibly have confidence at this point if you're Tua. And you look at Miami going into the draft next year, it's looking like they might have the third overall pick depending on how things go. I can't imagine they don't go quarterback there. Can you really think of a scenario looking forward where Brian Flores is going to be in a position to pick that high the rest of his career? He might win Coach of the Year this year with that defense. I don't assume Miami's in the top 10 anytime soon. If they don't have a trust in their guy, I don't see it working out. This is the one opportunity Tua has the rest of the year to prove that he is worthy of a starting spot. So depending on who starts or who doesn't for the Bills, I don't think it matters. It comes down to what is Tua going to bring to the field today. Ultimately, it could be his job. It could be his career moving forward.
I agree with that take, specifically Tua. His audition is winding down. Miami's got to know going into the offseason what they want from that position. Fitzpatrick, I think, is he on a 1-year deal? He's up after this year. Clay, give me a priority list. Who would you set down if you're the Bills? 1 through 4, 1 through 5. I'm not sure they could get past sitting 5, 6 starters for this entire game. So make me a priority list and give me an argument.
Yeah, priority for me, Josh Allen, priority number 1. He's your make or break guy. He's in the MVP conversation. If a guy like that gets hurt, the season's essentially over. Stephon Diggs is number 2. Tre'Davious White's number 3. Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano probably 4 or 5. Just because we've got linebackers now that are on the active roster that can fill in those spots, and we've seen what happens when Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano are injured. Earlier in the season, when we played the Chiefs the first time, both of those guys were banged up. So I think those guys are definitely in that top 5 as well. It looks like we lost Zach there. But yeah, I think those are top priority guys. And then I'd say beside that, maybe Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. Those guys are going to be essential, especially Jordan Poyer. He's kind of the core, behind Tremaine Edmonds. He's the number 2 guy in that defense as far as morale and how well he reads the plays back there in his safety position. He's an asset for the defense. So I think Jordan Poyer I would probably put in the top 5 over Micah Hyde, but both of those guys are essential as well. But yeah, I mean, going back to Zach's point as well, I do think this game essentially lies on Tua's shoulders, and that's kind of what we've been talking about ever since we saw that Fitzpatrick was on that COVID list and did test positive. I think it's Tua's game to win or lose at this point. He has no backup. He knows that he has no backup and that it's all on his shoulders. So I think it'll be interesting to see what kind of game plan they go in with offensively, because usually they run a different kind of offense with Tua as opposed to with Fitzpatrick. I think what they're doing with Tua is making it real easy for him, keeping it as simple as possible just because he's not used to this type of a system. And Chan Gailey is, kind of easing him into it. Whereas when Fitzpatrick goes in, they do a lot of 10 personnel, a lot of 4 wide sets, empty sets. And they don't really do a lot of that with Tua. They do, of course, they don't have a lot of wide receivers to put out there in the first place. But I think with that 4 wide receiver set, the spread set, it takes a lot of pre-snap knowledge and then a lot of quick decisions after the snap as well. And I think Fitzpatrick is more suited for those. So I think it really hinders the offensive game plan when Tua is in versus Fitzpatrick. And I think that the Buffalo defense could cause problems for that simplified Miami offense, because we've seen before against young quarterbacks, Drew Lock was someone that we gave a lot of problems to earlier in that Broncos game as well. I think they could cause some trouble for Tua today.
All right, in the comment section, Scott Blakely, why do you think our backups have any chance in beating anyone? Nothing points to that take. Are you saying we don't need this win? No, we don't need this win because we're already guaranteed a home playoff game in the first round. After that, let the chips fly where they are. We don't need this game whatsoever because the process that McDermott has put into this building is anybody, anytime, anywhere. We will play football. We'll play good football, anybody, anytime, anywhere. You've got a home playoff game. There's not a lot of difference between the 2 and 3 seed, especially, like I said earlier in the show, if you think Pittsburgh can lose and will lose in the first round of the playoffs. No, I don't think the Bills need this game. Sorry to anybody who disagrees. But with that said, why don't we do the fan thing? Why don't we do a little bit of predict what's going to happen and see how it comes out? But before, I'm going to use the ESPN playoff machine to see how this group thinks what will play out. But before that, who do you want to see? Give me one team quickly, Z-Bot. Who do you want in the wild card round?
I'll take either Cleveland or Indianapolis right now. I wanted to avoid Indianapolis last week, but after the utter collapse I saw in the second half, just shows me that when push comes to shove, Philip Rivers is not going to get the job done. So Wouldn't mind playing Indianapolis based on what I saw last week. But the reason I want to play Cleveland, they just showed you what they're made of. When push came to shove, they lost to the Jets. I don't care who was out in that game. You had an opportunity to snap your 17-year playoff drought against the New York Jets team with one win, and you couldn't get it done. You had every opportunity to do so. They went away from what worked. That was the run game. I don't trust Cleveland in a coaching matchup against Sean McDermott. So if I had to weigh out the two, as of right now, I think Cleveland would be the ideal candidate for the Bills in round one.
Okay, Clay, who do you want?
Yeah, I was going to say Indianapolis as well. I think, it's a home playoff game. Phillip Rivers played in San Diego for most of his career, and now he's playing in a dome in Indianapolis. He's not a cold weather quarterback. I don't think that he would do very well in a cold Buffalo game. So I would say I would take them first. I would say Cleveland is second for me as well. They are a cold weather team. They at least know how to play in the cold. So that factor would kind of disappear if they go into Buffalo for the playoff game. But I do think that they are also, kind of one of the weaker teams that's in this playoff race here.
All right. So with that, I've already picked 4 or 5 of the games that have really no implications, but that's it. There's only 3, maybe 4 games. I guess KC doesn't really have playoff implications because they're playing the Chargers, but I'm going to give that one to Kansas City. So I've picked 5 games that don't really have playoff implications. We're going to go through the rest using the playoff machine on ESPN.com. And almost every game we'll do AFC and NFC has some sort of implication. So we'll go just on the Bills-Dolphins game. We'll go on a vote. Do the Bills win? Yes or no?
I'm going to say this is tough. I think I'll say yes. And I think that's just because I think the defense shows out no matter what. I think if Josh plays a quarter or 2, if he plays the first half, they'll get enough points for the defense to do the rest of the job.
Zebot, you on board?
100% agree. I think the Bills win by multiple scores today. I think, like what I mentioned earlier, it's going to come down to the fact that Tua just can't get the job done more so than I think the Bills having to do much today.
All right, so we got a Bills win on the playoff machine. I'm going to give Baltimore at Cincinnati to Zebot. Baltimore or Cincinnati?
Oh, Baltimore is going to smoke Cincinnati today, for sure.
Pittsburgh at Cleveland, Clay. Who wins that one?
It's a tough one. Mason Rudolph's going to be in Cleveland. We saw what happened to them last week. I don't know. That is a tough one. It's a divisional game, too, and those are always hard to predict because, it's hard to know what the outcome's going to be. Where is the game?
It's in Cleveland.
I'm going to pick Cleveland then. I think home field, they got some fans going. They might be able to get that one out.
Okay, sticking in the AFC, Tennessee at Houston, Zebot.
More intriguing than meets the eye. Remember the first time these teams met, the scoreboard was lit up. I'm pretty sure it went to overtime, if I'm not mistaken. The Titans are a 7.5-point favorite today, which seems like a lot, but what's left in the tank right now for Houston? They have nothing to play for. Deshaun Watson's banged up. Tennessee definitely takes the game today.
All right, so moving with the AFC, Jacksonville at Indianapolis, Clay.
I think it's an easy win for Indy. Jacksonville is all in for Trevor Lawrence at this point, I think.
Okay, I think that is it for our AFC games. On to the NFC. Dallas at New York. Playoff implications in this game if Washington loses to the Eagles. Zebot, the Cowboys or the G-Men?
What a day for the NFC East. It's only fitting that it comes down to what it's coming down to. The worst division perhaps ever in the NFL is coming down to the most poetic ending you could imagine. Dallas is playing the best football in the NFC East right now, truth be told. I mean, the Red Rocket, the Bills legend Andy Dalton, they're scoring points and they're getting the job done the last several weeks. I think that they beat New York today, and I think Washington loses later. I think Dallas hosts Brady in the playoffs.
Okay, Clay, moving on. Atlanta at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay currently sitting in 5th.
Yeah, I think Tampa takes it. I'm assuming, why wouldn't they play their starters? But I think Tampa takes it pretty easily. I don't think it's not going to be that much of a competition. Brady, when it matters, will step up, and he usually doesn't make mistakes in those situations.
Okay, Zebot, Green Bay at Chicago. Green Bay currently the number 1 seed, 12-3. Chicago is the 7th seed with possibility of falling out. They need the game in their home field.
Yeah, crazy, because who would have thought they would have even had chance today the way the season went for them towards the middle of the way. But the way I saw the Packers come out the other night against Tennessee, I don't know anybody who'd want to play them right now, let alone Mitch Trubisky. I understand that he's playing the best football he's played in quite some time, but you're not beating Aaron Rodgers this week, especially when the 1 seed is still yet to be secured. I think the Packers handle them pretty easily today.
Clay, the New Orleans Saints are chasing the Packers. They are going to Carolina. New Orleans right now 11-4, needing a win to try to get that first round bye.
Yeah, the Saints have been pretty beat up this year. It'll be interesting to see what we get out of Breeze with his, he is, I don't know how beat up he still is with his ribs and everything. I still think the Saints get a win.
Okay, Saints get a win. Okay, Z-Bot, you got one of the most interesting games of the night here. Arizona at Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Basically, the winner is guaranteed in, and the loser might not get in. If I recall correctly, what their playoff seeding currently in this scenario, Arizona is sitting in 7th, and Los Angeles is 6th in how we've picked so far. So, Cardinals or Rams?
So they can both make it. If the Rams lose to the Cardinals, but the Bears lose to the Packers, they're both in. Wolford is starting today for the Rams. He's never taken an NFL snap. Cooper Kupp is also out. I can't help but think if the Rams could barely score a touchdown last week against Seattle with Goff and Kupp, how the hell are they going to do it with Wolford and no Kupp? So Kyler Murray is playing today. I can't not take Arizona here. I think the Cardinals win it.
Arizona on the road. Okay, Clay, we got Seattle at San Francisco. Seattle is right now the 3rd seed. San Francisco eliminated. And I don't think Seattle can catch New Orleans even if both teams win. They would need New Orleans to lose and a Seattle win to grab that 2nd seed.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what the situation would be for the 2 seed there. I can't imagine that the Seahawks play their starters, at least for the whole game. I don't know. They still might win. The 49ers team is not, they don't have a lot of their guys. I think Kittle's finally back. Is Jimmy G back as well? I haven't been paying attention.
No, but Kittle is.
No, I haven't been paying attention either.
Kittle being back, that's pretty big. But I think if the Seahawks rest their starters, which they likely would, if it's pretty much 3 seed and that's it, then I say we could see a little bit of life out of Mullins there.
All right, so you're picking San Francisco. Let's see what that does. And that would keep Seattle in the 3rd seed. They would not lose it to Tampa Bay couldn't get into the 4th seed or 3rd seed there. And then Z-Bot, back to the NFC East for you. Washington football team at Philadelphia.
Yeah, so I wouldn't want to play a Philly team that has been averaging almost 200 yards more on offense since Hurts has come in over Wentz. I understand they lost to Dallas last week, but you should fear a team in your own conference who has absolutely nothing to play for other than to spoil your playoff chances. And Alex Smith is banged up. They're a better team with him, but how healthy is he really? I can't imagine. The fact that he played this year to begin with is amazing, let alone coming back from another injury here. I think Philadelphia wins it. I've been hearing, which I think is ridiculous, but I've been hearing Doug Peterson is on a bit of a hot seat. They're going to come out there trying to win this game and win it big. And I think knowing that they can spoil the Washington season means a lot to Philadelphia. So I think the Eagles are going to pull the upset tonight, and I think the Cowboys represent the NFC East.
All right, so that is how we've picked the playoffs in the next round of guys that are coming on. I believe it's Judge and Knapp. I will have Judge and Knapp pick the playoff games that you guys have set up for them. But here's how we have it picking, of course, Kansas City, number 1 in the AFC. Buffalo, number 2, hosting the Indianapolis Colts. Pittsburgh, number 3, hosting the Cleveland Browns. And Tennessee, number 4, hosting Baltimore. So in this scenario that you guys have picked, the Dolphins are on the outs. On the NFC side, Green Bay is number 1. New Orleans, number 2, hosting 7. Los Angeles, Seattle, number 3, hosting 6. Arizona. That could be a great game if that happens. And Dallas is the 4 seed, thanks to Z-Bot, hosting Tampa Bay. That is how we are playoffs shape up in this simulator. Back to Orchard Park, the Bills and the Dolphins. Smash that like button. We got 215 people watching right now. let's get it up to 300 before kickoff. 11:30 on the East Coast. We should be getting inactives. Let me see if I can pull those up on Twitter.
I got them right here.
You got them right there. All right.
Inactives for the game: Jake Fromm, Cole Beasley, Tywan Jones, Tre'Davious White, Jerry Hughes, Ty Nsekhe, Reggie Gilliam, and Mario Addison, all inactive today.
I got a Z-Bot. Give me your thoughts. I have to see it, so I'm pulling up Twitter here.
It's about what I expected. I like the move to take Tre'Davious White out because how necessary is Trey White in this game when Tua can barely crack 100 yards in a game? I love taking him out. Jerry Hughes, out of anybody, probably deserves a rest being the veteran that he is. I like that move. As we talked about earlier, thought maybe Jake Fromm would see his first snaps as a Bill. He's not going to. That tells me there seems to be an inclination that Allen's going to play somewhat in this game. I don't know how much, but if I were to venture, looking at this, it looks like Diggs obviously going to play as well. I would put my money on Allen and Diggs playing at least the first half, the way I'm looking at this right now.
Yeah, now that I see the inactives, I'm so happy Tre'Davious White, Jerry Hughes are out, Mario Addison getting that rest. Just the veteran type guys. Of course, Cole Beasley. Week to week, we can talk about Beasley too, because I don't think Sean McDermott misspeaks very often, but he's not ever going to reveal 100% of the truth. So with what Cole Beasley has and what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, I think he could probably very well play through it because it is the playoffs when he gets on the field. But now that I see the quarterbacks that are active, and it's just two, Matt Barkley and Josh Allen, very well we could get a quarter out of Josh Allen. That's as much as I would want to see him out there because I don't want to see him out there at all. And then maybe it could be Sean McDermott saying, Matt Barkley, you're going to start. Josh Allen, you're the backup this week if anything happens. So be ready just in case. But given the fact that Davis Webb or Jake Fromm aren't here, I think Josh Allen does start and plays hopefully just one series, maybe up to a quarter at most.
I'd probably agree with that as well. I think we've only got two quarterbacks active. You could probably expect that that Josh is going to at least get some snaps. I think he'll start the game, play for a little bit. But I think one of the interesting things from the list with Tre'Davious White being out, and then you've got Levi Wallace and Josh Norman likely going to be those two guys that start on the outside. But I think we could see a healthy dose of Dane Jackson this game as well. He was able to get pulled up with no consequence because of those on the COVID list, which is really good. He doesn't have to pass through waivers now. They've been very good about bringing him up in a fashion where they can't lose him, which is good because I think he is an asset as a young corner. I hope we see a lot of him today. We haven't seen enough from Dane Jackson, in my opinion, but what we have seen has been very good. So I think that'll be fun to watch, and hopefully he'll get a decent amount of reps, at least in the second half.
My man Rico just popped in backstage. Rico, are you coming on next hour or do you want to jump on right now? You want to come on right now. I'm adding you to the stream. Rico, my man Rico coming on. This is a surprise.
Hey.
How's it going?
Gentlemen, good morning. How are you guys?
I am excellent because it's a Buffalo Bills game day.
Listen, I could not see these beautiful faces on here without showing up and adding a little chocolate to this stream. So I figured I'd jump in there, and this conversation was too for me not to. So please continue. I love the moderating, and I want to be part of this, man. How you guys doing?
I am excellent, good sir. We saw Clay was just talking about Dane Jackson, but here's a name who has not been active that I want to see get some reps, and I will wait for Rico to get his headphones back on. But John Brown is active today. How much smoke should we get today, Rico?
Sorry, I missed all that you just said because I had to plug my thing in. I apologize.
I even said that I was waiting for you to put your headphones on. And okay, smoke. John Brown is active today. Right. We have not seen him in weeks. How much play should he get? Should he get a series? We've been debating this about Josh Allen.
No. Get him in there. I need him warmed up. He hasn't played in 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. I don't need a series or two. That's not enough for us. I need you guys to send him deep, give him screens, get him warmed up, get him hit. So he's now acclimated. And once game time really means something next week, he'll be ready to go. We don't want rusty John Brown with fresh Josh Allen and fresh Gabe Davis. Like we want everybody to be on the same page, especially because we're going to be out without the likes of Cole Beasley. That's a huge blow, in my opinion. So we need my man John Brown on all cylinders, firing on all cylinders. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think?
I can't say I disagree with you, but ultimately as a fan, and I don't want to risk the Super Bowl for a Week 17 game. I just don't want to see Josh Allen out there very long because you're not winning the Super Bowl without him. Now, ultimately, in a perfect world, what will happen is they each get one snap. Josh Allen throws it long, 75 yards. Smoke gets a touchdown. That's number 35. And our man Judge will end up with the 35th passing touchdown of Josh Allen's season. Judge will end up with an ass tattoo of JA17.
I look forward to it. I'm not going to front. I really do. Here's something that I need you. I don't know if you guys have been looking things up, but apparently, the Bills are not trying to mess around with losing out on this number 2 seed. They want the number 2 seed from what the Twitter sphere is saying. So I can't see them just taking it easy with one series. I mean, I love Matt Barkley, cool guy, cool beans. But if you want that number 2 seed, you got to leave your general in there to lock that number 2 seed up. So now we run what we pretty much control our destiny when we win this game, right? We let things happen. Now we're playing the Miami Dolphins, or we're playing the Browns. Do things happen where we end up playing the Ravens? Win and we control a little bit more. We lose, it's up to whatever else happens.
Now I got a point to make, but now that Rico's in, you can get in on the bing bingity bing because he's got his bell. So get in the super chat if you want to hear Rico pull out the bell. Sean McDermott has built the bully that the guy we shall not name, Rex Ryan, said he wanted to build. So if you're going out there guns a-blazing in a Week 17 game against the Miami Dolphins, is this like the Patriots reporter said last week, the passing of the arrogance torch, when you could guarantee your quarterback being healthy going into next week, but you'd rather have 13 wins, sweep the division, and put the Dolphins out of their misery. Is that what you're saying, Rico?
You damn right. And furthermore, and I think Clay would probably agree. I don't know. My man Zebot might agree. But if you go into this game fearing that you may get hurt, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. Oh, I'm going to take it easy. You want 100% from the players that are playing. And if coach now decides to make a decision on what's happening, then okay. But if you're in for 100%, and I need you in for that win. I want that 2 seed. I'm not trying to rest anybody. Let's play. We've seen what has happened when we've taken a rest. When we went against the Chargers, when we came off of the bye with the Chargers, we looked sluggish. We were just out of whack. I'm not trying to have that. I want my guys ready, fresh, and ready to go. But Clay might disagree, or Zeba might disagree. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
Zeba, I'm going to go to you. You've been quiet.
I'm in full agreement, Rico. The other before you hopped on, Clay and Jeff are, I think, what a lot of Bills fans are today, and understandably so. I completely understand not wanting to play the starters, but the way I look at it, I haven't seen a team play as hot a football as the Buffalo Bills are playing in the last month in a very long time. I think if you have any ability to control that flame and its ignition, if you have any ability to control that the flame stays ignited, why not keep it that? And like you mentioned, Rico, if you go out there insinuating that injuries are going to be a probability, then things aren't going to go in your favor. I just keep getting this notion that a lot of people assume if your starters play, then somebody is guaranteed to get hurt. I mean, I understand Beasley got hurt, and that's the cautionary tale here, right? But it was a non-contact injury. You could get that getting off the bus in reality. I look at this game. Why would you want to kneel down and let the Dolphins walk into the playoffs? Because God knows what the Dolphins' plans are. You let them walk in. I guarantee you Fitzpatrick gets the start if they wind up playing him. I don't know if I want to see Ryan Fitzpatrick in the playoffs. Ryan Fitzpatrick will probably have his last opportunity to get a playoff win in his career against his former team. It just seems like a chaotic, like just a bad novel that I don't want to read, because imagine the chip on his shoulder he'll have coming in. If you can take care of a playoff team while you have the opportunity, let alone one in your division, let alone one that Bills fans have hated for decades, Why not do it? And I think that you look at the milestones the Bills can achieve today, tie the record for the most wins in franchise history, Allen becoming the top quarterback in Bills history in regards to yards, Diggs securing the number one overall receiving title. There's a lot of things on the line. The Bills also need to score 14 points to become the most scoring Bills team in history. There's a lot going on here today.
Can I piggyback? Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay. First of all, to the person I'm not going to say their name in the comment section, but there was a person in the comment section calling me a chicken because of my take. Go ahead and super chat it, and then I'll put it up, and then we can debate it. Second of all, why would you risk the Super Bowl? You're not getting to the Super Bowl without Josh Allen. Why would you risk the Super Bowl for team records in Week 17? I'm sorry, I'm out.
You're insinuating he's going to get hurt.
The Super Bowl.
You're
because
right.
The Dolphins are going all out, and if they have to come back to Buffalo, you know what they don't want to face in the wild card against the Bills? They don't want to face Josh Allen. That's reason enough for their defensive line to get in there and get after him and possibly take cheap shots.
Love that point, and I hear how I counter that, sir. Here I go. So you have Tua come into Buffalo. First time playing in Buffalo. He's going to get acclimated to the weather, all that good stuff. He's going to get acclimated to playing us for the very first time because he has not. So we let him take the dub in Buffalo. Chances are we face them again for a third time. Beating a team 3 times is tough, right? So now he's already used to playing in the weather that we're going to be facing with him today. Then you bring him back to Buffalo, so now he's going to get a little more used to it. Knows no, I'm not trying to have that. I'm not giving no chances. Boot these guys out the playoffs, and then we'll play the Browns or the Colts or whoever, man.
Look, as an AFC East Bills fan, there would be nothing more that I would like than to see Miami fall on their faces against our backup. I would love that. All right. But if you play vanilla offense, vanilla defense, listen to me. Miami needs the game. They're going all out. You're going to have an extra tape on Miami. If you play vanilla, they're not going to know what you're doing going into the wild card if you play them again. They're going to have one less tape. That is an advantage, Buffalo, by not playing 100% balls to the wall.
Fair point.
Clay,
you've been quiet. Get in.
Yeah, there's only one record that I care about. There's a bunch of records that are up for grabs. Tied for most wins in the season. Josh Allen could get the passing record for the Bills. The only record that I care about is your wins-loss record in the playoffs. So get to the playoffs and win your games. I don't care if we win today. Why? To me, it does not matter. Tua comes into Buffalo and sure, he wins the game against our backups. Good for him. The next time he plays us, he's not going to see the backups. He's going to see a really good football team. If he does play us again in the playoffs at some point, I just don't. I don't. If Tua gets a win today, I don't think that's a huge deal. He still might not. I think even if we do play the starters for even the first half. And another thing is, the whole if you go in playing scared, then you're going to get hurt. Josh Allen never plays scared. If he's in the game, he's going to go 100%. That's just the guy that he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in that situation, that is when he is most likely to get hurt because he does go all out. He will not give up on a play for the most part. If he's in the game, he's playing to win. So, and we've seen him in certain situations, the Joey Bosa tackle being the most prevalent in everyone's mind. He's there to win the game. He's getting tackled by one of the best defensive ends in the league, and he just refuses to go down. He tries to throw the ball when his linemen are already downfield anyway, so it's not going to matter. The play's going to be moot, and he's still trying to make a play, and he almost gets hurt. He probably almost blew his knee out on that play. When Josh Allen is going 100%, when he's in the game, he's 100%. When he's 100%, there's a chance that he's going to get hurt. So the less time he sees the field, the more chance that he stays healthy and the better chance that we can go undefeated in the playoffs.
All right. It is 11:45 on the East Coast. I'll keep you guys on if you want, but I'm going to bring in Judge and Knapp to this. And then if you guys want to drop off, Clay, Zach, if you guys want to stay on, that is absolutely fine with me. So we got Judge, and then if I could actually scroll down, Knapp coming on. Hey, it looks like almost what we did Friday night, guys. Welcome in. This discussion is too fire right now with Rico. Get in on the super chat if you're in the comment section. I got one guy who's just telling me that I'm a chicken and that I'm wrong, and I will pull his comment up if he pays the super chat
right.
to get that comment up. But Judge, You're one passing touchdown away from an ass tattoo. Do you want the Bills to go all out in this game?
You're muted.
Well, based on their inactive list, I think it's pretty clear that the Buffalo Bills, at least on offense, even if they play a more conservative approach, are still going to play their starters and still going to play a relatively normal football game, I think, for the first half of football, and they're going to be scoreboard watching in Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Like, that's what's going to happen. They are going to go all out in the first half with what they have on offense. Maybe they'll run the football more. Maybe they'll be less original, not to give things away. But they are going to go balls to the walls the first half, at least on offense, try to put up as many points as possible, and then put Matt Barkley in the second half and be scoreboard watching what's going on in Pittsburgh. At least on defense, they'll probably be doing the same, just with their backups. You're going to see Trent Murphy, AJ Epinesa, Daryl Johnson, Dane Jackson, Levi Wallace, because you're sitting some of those starters.
Kyle, what do you think? Knapp knows Buffalo. The stash is still alive. What do you think?
Yeah. Look, it made it another week, so hopefully it keeps going. But yeah, I mean, I'm right there with Judge. I said this on the podcast too. Like, I want to see the starters play. I understand the injury concerns and everything of like, well, we can't have any injuries, and that's definitely true. But at the same time, that consistency matters. And yes, Jeff, you're being a little bit chicken here. Like, why would we not want to just continue being aggressive, at least for a quarter or a half? And like Judge said, scoreboard watch a little bit. If it seems like we
never
don't
won a Super Bowl, why risk the Super Bowl?
Why are you
so
scared?
Game?
You are scared. Yes, you are.
It's a mathematical calculation that there are fewer chances for the injury to your best player, who you will not win the Super Bowl without him on the field. It is a mathematical calculation.
I need to ask something. This game that these gentlemen are playing is a business. Need I remind you guys, there are incentives to be had with certain players. You think they're going to listen to, I mean, head coach has the final say, but I'll give one example. Jordan Poyer needs one more interception to get himself $250,000. You think he's going to sit there and like, oh, coach, you're going to bench me? I got money on the line. There's going to be players wanting to play, and they're going to play hard. You best believe they're going to play hard, and they want those incentives. So that you don't think Josh Allen has at the back of his mind, hey, if I have a money game, or at least the first half, I can squeak in and really get that MVP. And then everybody can get off my D. Jordan Poyer wants that interception. He's been snubbed left, right, center. He wants his
Jordan
money.
Poyer wants
if the players want to play, let them play.
I'm just saying, if he didn't get his Pro Bowl, he wants his money. That's what it's going to come down to. So if you're scared that these guys are going to get hurt, listen, they know they signed up for this game. They know the deal. I want my monies. That's what they're wanting to. So this whole playing scared. Jeff, I'm not calling you a chicken. You're not chicken. You're a good man. But I'm just saying,
Rico. Keep it real.
These guys are for real. They want to play. And if whether, like Judge said, first half, they're going to light the boards up the first half and try to get everything they can in the first half. And then we'll take the foot off the pedal. And then we chill. This 1-2 series business, you're not going to do anything with that. John Brown's not going to get warmed up with 1 or 2 series. You need his ass in. Come on now, fellas. We need this dub, man. I want that number 2 seed so we control ourselves, man. Come on.
And I don't have a problem with if a player's like, look, I'm a little dinged up. I should probably sit. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. If you're not feeling good enough to go this week, then yeah, rest yourself. But I don't want the coaching staff to have a mindset of like, well, let's hold off and let's just not go all out. Like, no, be aggressive. That's what you've been all year. Why not just continue it? Don't take your foot off the gas. Just go for the 2 seed. Don't let that out of your hands, because it's a mindset of we're the best. We're going to prove that we're the best, and we're going to do it every single week. Why would you take the foot off the gas on that this week?
If that's where you're going, is because it is the mindset, I will agree with you, because Sean McDermott is a master psychologist with this football team. That's where I could say, yes, go ahead and play, because you want the mental edge. You want the mental edge because you want everyone else to be like, oh shit, we got to play Buffalo in Buffalo. That's fine. I get it. But injury-wise, you are risking the Super Bowl for a Week 17 game.
You're risking the Super Bowl every other week you play too when you do this. That's the nature of the game.
I want to
don't need this game.
Here.
Go ahead, Clay.
I want to defend Jeff real quick here, and then I'm going to dip out because I know I don't want people to call me a chicken in the comments too. But here's the thing: Josh Allen, when he's on the field, is and always has been the most at risk to get hurt, just because of the way that he plays with his aggression. Give him the first half. I'm completely happy with him playing in the first half. Then take him out of the game. Yeah. You need him to be healthy. First half will give him momentum, keep him in the flow of things, keep him and Dable on the same page, keep him fresh. That's fine. Give him a half, but then take him out of the game. I don't want to see Josh Allen in the second half because he's going to keep playing hard because that's what they do.
Okay with that.
Play hard. Yeah. So give him the first half and then take him out because he is the most important player on this team. And if he's in there the second half and he's trying to be a hero, he could get hurt. And if he does get hurt, if he played the whole game and got hurt, Jeff and I would have a field day on Twitter talking to all you guys because it would ruin the season. You need to protect Josh Allen among all else. I don't care if you play every other starter. Don't give Josh Allen the whole game today because this game, as much as you guys might think it does, this game does not matter. The Bills have a home playoff game, and if they go undefeated in the playoffs, that's all that matters at this point.
I agree. I wasn't saying that I wasn't saying that I want him to play the whole game. I just want that out there. That's not what I was saying. I want him to play, though. I don't want them to just sit him and not give him a chance. I want him to play, but I don't want him to play the whole game.
Now, are the Saints and the Packers resting Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees today?
No, they're not.
Yeah, and I'm going to hop in before I head out, too, because I like what Judge just brought up and segues into what I was thinking. I heard on the radio earlier this morning, well, the Steelers are resting their guys. They don't care. And the Chiefs are resting their guys. They don't care. One, the Chiefs are the number one seed. They have absolutely no incentive to play anybody. Two, I look at the Steelers two ways. One, Ben Roethlisberger's knees are on their last breath. That guy needs every second he can get on the bench. He can barely walk at this point. Two, I think it makes the Steelers look like complete bums. They do not deserve to rest this week. They played terrible football, and if it wasn't for a crazy second half comeback, they'd be on a major losing streak. They look like a one-and-done team to me, but Mike Tomlin knows his team better than anybody. If he thinks they needed a rest, they did. But Sean McDermott in the same position, it just seems like he looks at this team and thinks they benefit more from going out there and keeping the fire alive than they benefit from sitting on the bench.
If they're a one-and-done team, the Bills don't need the 2 seed. If the Steelers are one and done, the Bills win, they get a second game at home in the divisional round.
But to me, it's not all about being at home. To me, it's about we just smacked the Patriots and we smacked the Dolphins. Who the hell is beating us right now, right? It's all a psychological thing to me. And I think this Bills team is such a team that's driven on culture. I don't want anything disrupting that. And the way they've been playing, if they can add one more piece to that puzzle, which is we just went 6-0 in the division for the first time in franchise history, the confidence going into the playoffs is going to be unlike anything we've seen. So to me, yes, the home field advantage is part of it. And yes, the matchups are part of it. I do think the Steelers are one and done. But that to me isn't necessarily the reasoning to go out there and play today. To me, it's keeping that spark alive.
All right, let's get in on this comment right here. Dayball going to have Josh let it rip. One last statement before the MVP snub. Carry the chip on our shoulder going into the playoffs. I can't disagree with that. Clay, Bot, you said you guys wanted to dip out, so give me a go Bills before you guys get on out of here.
Before they leave, though, Clay was trying to drop the mic and get out there. Nap just came in there and was like,
I know. It's hard to drop the mic with this crew because everyone's going to bring up so many good points to refute anything. So, but yeah, I mean, I made my point. Now I got to go make some popcorn to watch the rest of this argument happen.
All right, fellas. Hey, give me a go Bills before we let you get on out of here.
Go Bills.
Go Bills, boys. Best of luck today to whoever starts. It's on Tua's shoulders. I don't care if they bring in Sean McDermott to play quarterback for a couple of series. It's going to come down to Tua, and for that, the Bills win. So go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. And now if you really think that it is on Tua's shoulders, your defense, you probably think that the Bills defense, even without Jerry Hughes, Trey White, Mario Addison, without those guys, they could probably get after Tua and make his day miserable, whether or not Josh Allen is on the field. Am I right, Nap?
I mean, without some of those guys, it's definitely going to be a little more difficult, but there's going to be opportunities if they can force Tua to hold on to the ball, because we all know that Tua doesn't like to throw to guys unless they're pretty wide open. He doesn't see the field as well just yet because of what he had as an advantage with the roster he had when he was at Alabama, where guys were just always open. So he's still kind of getting into the swing of things there. So if they can stay, if the secondary can stay with their guys long enough to make him be under pressure consistently, then yeah, they can get after him. But it's not going to be an easy task without your best guys up front, without Jerry Hughes, without Mario Addison. So, like, can they do it? Yes. But is it going to be a battle for them a little bit more than usual? Of course.
Judge, it's on Tua. Can he get the job done today?
I don't think so, because I think the way the Bills set up on defense is, I think on offense, you'll see a more conservative approach with your starters. And on defense, what they're sort of setting up is, all right, we can go all out on defense. We're just going to go all out with backups, because outside of like Poyer, Hyde, Edmonds, who I don't think will see the full game, Matt Milano, who I don't think will see the full game, we're talking some young, hungry guys in Mike Love, AJ Epinesa, Daryl Johnson, maybe a guy like Trent Murphy who wants to prove that like maybe he's not shot. These guys are all going to be pinning their ears back and going after Tua. And you still have guys like Ed Oliver, Vernon Butler, Justin Zimmer, Quentin Jefferson, and Harrison Phillips to sort of try to cloud the pocket from the inside. So between that and AJ Klein, we've seen what he can do as a blitzer. I think the Buffalo Bills have enough to put pressure on Tua. The thing that's really blowing my mind right now is Ryan Fitzpatrick's on the COVID list and Jake Rudock is inactive. I have scoured the internet trying to figure out who the Miami Dolphins backup quarterback is. The best I can come up with is Lynn Bowden and Malcolm Perry, who played quarterback in college and are now running backs and receivers. Miami's legitimately not playing a backup quarterback today. So the Buffalo Bills need to get bodies on Tua. They need to ding him up. And I think that'll be a recipe for success today.
Now, I saw in the comment section someone calling Tua Tyrod Taylor. I kind of disagree with that. Maybe just their hesitancy to throw the ball into windows, but Tua is only a rookie,
right? Exactly.
Who's being brought along. Now, much respect to Tyrod, and absolutely 100% the type of human being you all should strive to be, I should say. But Tua hasn't had as much time in the league right now to prove what he is or he isn't. And going back to what Z and Clay were saying earlier, this might be Tua's last chance before the Dolphins have that number 3 pick next year. They're not going to get Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence out of that spot, but they have a high draft pick. They could go after a quarterback. That's the player who's going to make a big difference, and whoever wins this game, it's going to be on Tua's shoulders. Rico, you're thinking.
I'm this comparison of Tyrod Taylor and Tua, I don't like it. I don't know where they get that. First and foremost, I mean, like you said, rookie comparison to what, a 7-8 year vet. Come on, let's stop that. Here's the deal, man. Tua, I like Tua, quick release. I think he's going to come into his own today. Not that he's going to light it up, but he's going to learn a lot about himself against a hungry, like Judge said, a hungry reserve defense that the Bills are going to be putting off field. But he's fighting to not get benched. Like, he's been getting benched by his head coach. He's like, okay, this is my opportunity. You can't pull me now. So I got to stay, and I got to prove something to myself, and I got to prove something to my teammates. So I expect a good outing from Tua. But if the way things are supposed to line up is that we take care of business, I don't care how it happens, we take care of business, send the damn Dolphins packing, we own the damn AFC East, we sweep the damn division, and then we make our way to the Super Bowl. Now, second point I want to make as well, kind of moving away from the Tua, the Patriots have made a living getting that sweeping the division or winning the division and just playing the weaker opponents. Right up until the AFC Championship, that's when they get the really tough opponent. And if the way things are to play out, I feel that we could get out of the first round, go into the second round facing whoever, and I think we could beat them. The AFC Championship round would be against, in my opinion, the Chiefs probably. That's where I'm looking forward to seeing what this Bills team is about. But I digress. I'm moving forward. I'm moving ahead. But this game coming up, Tua will have a decent game, but I think I think will be too much. I think the likes of Mike Love coming off the edge has got a whole lot to prove. He's just had bad luck his time in Buffalo. Dude, he could have beat out Trent Murphy for crying out loud, and then until Mike Love got hurt. So he's got a lot to prove, and I think that we're going to be coming after Tua, and we're going to make it uncomfortable for him. But I think I'll see something good from Tua today. We'll see.
All right, I do want to move ahead because I am still of the opinion that this game, that there's not a lot of difference between the 2 and the 3 seed. Just this game does not have a ton of meaning outside of team awards and sweeping the division, which is great for fans because, again, you got to win the Super Bowl, you have to beat anybody, anywhere, anytime that the NFL says and how the chips fall. So moving ahead, the previous group, Zebot and Clay, they picked today's games using the ESPN playoff machine. And this is how it fell. And I want to see how you guys determine how the playoffs are going to fall. So they had Cleveland beating Pittsburgh and Indianapolis beating Jacksonville, with Buffalo beating Miami. So Miami is out in this scenario. So number 1, Kansas City 15-1. Number 2, Buffalo 13-3. Hosting a 7 seed Indianapolis at 11-5. 3rd seed Pittsburgh at 12-4, hosting Cleveland at 11-5, who Cleveland just beat the week before. And the 4th seed Tennessee hosting 5th seed Baltimore. Both of those teams are 11-5. So why don't we go ahead and pick those games? We can do it by vote with the 3 of you, and we will start with the Bills and Colts in the wild card game in Buffalo.
Well, let's just hope the Bills don't get out to a 35-0 lead. Is all I'm going to say.
So,
I'll take the Bills in that game because Phillip Rivers, the Buffalo Bills, if they can put up points and they can score points like they're capable of, and Phillip Rivers, they take the Colts out of that running game, and Phillip Rivers got to toss that football. Anthony Costanzo out for the year. I trust guys like Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison and Ed Oliver and Matt Milano to get in Phillip Rivers' face, to throw up a lot of ducks, and for the Buffalo Bills to get a lot of turnovers and beat the Indianapolis Colts with relative ease.
All right, Knapp, if you say Buffalo here, then it's automatic. We'll choose Buffalo. It'll be 2 against maybe even 3. So, Kyle, what's your vote?
Yeah, I mean, let's just move on to the next one. I pick Buffalo.
That's
who I want to play first round. That would be my preference of who the Bills play first round, them or the Dolphins. So,
But why?
Because I mean, literally what Judge just said. I don't trust Phillip Rivers at this point. He has never been a guy who wins the big game down the stretch. And then you add in the fact that he's older. You add in the fact that they are missing some of their offensive line now. And it's going to be in Buffalo. And I just don't trust him in cold weather, big games, especially. I mean, it's not as big of a deal now that he's in Indy as opposed to when he was all the way out west. But traveling east, he has not played well traveling east, especially late in the season. So that's just a couple of different factors. For me, I would prefer to play Indy if the Bills don't have Miami coming in in the wild card.
All right, Rico, in the wild card game, I'll let you start off. 3rd seed Pittsburgh hosting 6th seed Cleveland. Pittsburgh 12-4, Cleveland 11-5, having beaten the Steelers this week in Cleveland, going to Pittsburgh for wild card.
I like Cleveland, man. I don't. There's something about Ben Roethlisberger that I just feel like it's he's hanging on. He's hanging on, and his supporting cast, although they've taken it like a step back. Connor, I know, is getting back to being healthy. O-line got Pouncey back, so I get those things. But I feel that the Cleveland Browns are just so hungry. They're on the verge. I mean, making the playoffs, and they want to make a name for themselves. I think that they come in and upset the division rival. I think they take the Steelers.
All right, Judge.
I'm going to go with the Steelers in that game. I think that despite the fact that I think Cleveland is the better team on paper, I think Cleveland doesn't have really much of a secondary at all outside of Denzel Ward. So I think a guy like Ben Roethlisberger, being as playoff savvy as he is, they can come out 4 or 5 receiver. And you saw what they did in the second half versus the Indianapolis Colts. I think they can do that the entire game versus the Cleveland Browns, which will force the Browns, if it's a shootout, to abandon their running game. And we see what happens when Cleveland abandons its running game. They lost to the New York freaking Jets, for crying out loud. So I'm gonna stick with Pittsburgh, despite the fact that I think Cleveland is on paper the better team.
All right, Knapp, you're the deciding vote. Who wins that wild card game, Browns at Steelers next week?
So I think it's the Browns. I don't, as much as Pittsburgh has they have a lot of names on their offensive line, right? Myles Garrett can do whatever he wants with any offensive lineman, and Big Ben can't get away from a guy like that. And the Browns actually have a pretty solid defensive line. They have a pretty solid pass rush. So their secondary doesn't have to cover guys for as long. And when you're talking about Big Ben playing quarterback, the way the Steelers have played offense this year, they want to get everything out as short as possible. They're not taking deep shots right now. So as long as the Browns can keep the guy in front of them and maybe even force Ben to hold on to the ball a half a second longer than he wants to, he's going to really struggle against that Browns defensive line. Not necessarily the secondary, but their defensive line. And as long as they don't have any more COVID issues, because obviously we know they've had some of those recently, then their offense should be just fine. Not necessarily great, but I would go with the Browns in this. I don't trust the Steelers' offense enough.
All right, so that would mean we got one more game, and Judge, I'll start with you. 4th seed Tennessee, 5th seed Baltimore in the wild card round.
Man, I'm going to go with Baltimore. I think that they can control the game on the ground with Lamar and J.K. Dobbins. I think they can do just enough in the air with guys like Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown, and I think that defense will be able to do what it takes to shut down Derrick Henry and to get enough pressure on Ryan Tannehill to make him uncomfortable. So, again, I think that Tennessee is the better team on paper, but I'm going to go with Baltimore.
Okay, Rico?
Oh, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Baltimore. I just feel that Lamar Jackson, although I'm a big fan of Lamar Jackson, but I think they're surging. They're hot right now, and their strong point is the defense. Their defense is not like it used to be back in the day, but that's their strong point. So stop King Henry. You're gonna have to force Tannehill to make some moves, and I think that they're just too red hot right now for Tennessee to knock them off. I love King Henry, but I like Gus. I like JK. Ingram. I like those. I like Andrews. So I got Baltimore in this one.
Okay, now let me say something. There are a bunch of guys in the comment section trying to get me a chicken hat. If I see a $50 super chat, you see that helmet right there? See that helmet? I will wear the helmet for the rest of this show if I see a $50 super chat.
You know what?
You guys,
I'm gonna call each and every one of you. Yo, you guys put $50 up. He's gonna put that helmet on. Do it. Make this man put that helmet on for the rest of the show.
I will wear the helmet because I'll take it off 20 minutes later.
Make him get a chicken tattooed on his ass.
Okay, that would take $5,000.
$5,000? Come on.
At least $5,000.
Oh, yo, tripping.
All right. I want to see a $50 super chat, and I'll put that helmet on because you guys are calling me chicken. I'll wear it for the rest of this cast. On the divisional round of the AFC, what you guys have done by all of your picks, you have had Baltimore now come to Buffalo in the divisional round. And Nap, Baltimore at Buffalo. Who are you taking?
I mean, I'm gonna roll with the Bills. I think the Bills can beat anyone, anytime, anywhere, and especially if it's going to be in Buffalo, especially if they have fans, it's just going to be a little extra juice. I know the Ravens are hot. I think the Bills are hotter right now. As long as they keep that momentum going into the playoffs, I'm not worried. It would definitely be a close game. I don't think it'd be a blowout by any means, but I just don't see Lamar Jackson being able to keep up with the Bills offense the way it's running right now, especially if they can get, a 1 touchdown, 2 touchdown lead early. The Ravens don't play well from behind. So I would roll with Josh Allen and the Bills in that.
All right, Rico, you going with Buffalo against Baltimore?
I'm gonna agree as well. I think McDermott's ability and Leslie Frazier's ability to put their minds together and take away your most effective player, and that would be Andrews. So take away Andrews, you got to force him to go to Hollywood Brown. You got to force him to do that and contain and take away his middle threat. And Andrews, I think we have an ability. And exactly what Knapp said, we get ahead, you have to pass the ball. You have to pass the ball. Now, Lamar Jackson won't necessarily have to pass the ball to catch up because he can use his legs to just move the chains ever so slowly. So that's where that contain comes in. I think McDermott and Leslie Frazier will have the edge over Baltimore in that facet. So give me the Bills in a close win, but the Bills take that dub.
Yeah.
All right.
Milano,
Go ahead, Judge.
Edmonds, Hyde, Poyer. We saw it last time we played Baltimore last year. Leslie Frazier's the guy who built the game plan to shut down Lamar Jackson.
There you
and
go.
Baltimore is just now starting to, like a year and a half later, figure out how to beat it. Shut them down over the middle, make them throw outside of the sticks. If your offense can score and you can get an early lead and they're playing from behind, Baltimore doesn't stand a chance.
All right, so we have unanimous Buffalo over Baltimore in the divisional round as we pick the playoffs here. Number 1 seed Kansas City against number 6 Cleveland. Does Cleveland have enough to go into Arrowhead and beat the Kansas City Chiefs? The Chiefs have been playing a ton of one-score games. Judge, I'll start with you. You're shaking your head.
If it was Baltimore, I would have picked Baltimore. But I'm not taking Cleveland. I'm not taking Cleveland. Like, I'm sorry. Baker Mayfield doesn't have the stones to go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and win a football game. Yes, Cleveland has a pathway to victory, control the ball on the ground, all that stuff. But you know what? Patrick Mahomes is just going to have his day with that secondary. And if they decide that they're just going to dump everybody back, guys like Le'Veon Bell and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Travis Kelce will get it done. Like, Patrick Mahomes isn't losing to the Cleveland Browns. It's just not happening.
Knapp, do you agree?
Yeah, I think this is a very different scenario here. I think Cleveland could push and make the game close for a little while, but I don't think they can hold up the entire game because of their secondary. And it's much different when you have a bad secondary against Patrick Mahomes than like what I was talking about earlier against Big Ben, because Patrick Mahomes can actually get out of the pocket, move a little bit. And their offense, as much as they haven't been playing their best football recently, they can turn it on at the flip of a switch. Like we saw them come back. Was it every single game last postseason? They were down 10 points at least, I think. So I struggle to take a team that doesn't have a solid passing game and a good secondary against the Chiefs. So I'd roll with the Chiefs.
What we have set up now is Buffalo in Kansas City for the AFC title game. And Rico, I get to start with you. Buffalo and Kansas City as we pick the AFC playoffs.
Well, so we're going to be in Kansas City. So I don't, it's a tough one for me, man. It's a tough one for me, but I think, damn it. Listen, here's how I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it like this. The experience for the Chiefs is going to pull through, and they will edge the Bills. Although my heart says, dude, this is the year. We've made it to this point. Like, nobody's getting in our way. It's going to come down to experience in this position. And Pat Mahomes, I'm saying, Super Bowl champ, reigning MVP, I think he edges out the inexperienced Josh Allen and the Bills. However, McDermott and crew have been there before. And they've got that. They've got the savvy vets on this team that have had success. But I just think that Pat and the experience that this team has will be too much for the Bills. I think the Chiefs take the edge over the Bills. I hate even saying that, but I got to keep it a buck. I think that's what will happen.
All right, we got one vote for the Chiefs. Judge, what's your vote here?
I'm going with the Bills. I am going with the Buffalo Bills. I think Clay Troya put it best a couple of weeks ago on the pregame show when we had this conversation. And what he said was, listen, the last time the Buffalo Bills played the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills were spending 2 weeks not knowing who they were playing, when they were playing. They were trying to prepare for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tennessee Titans at the same time. And it just so happens the Tennessee Titans figured out what the Buffalo Bills did. And instead of having a full week to adjust their game plan, they pretty much had to go into that Kansas City game with the same game plan, even though they knew it probably wouldn't work and Kansas City would adjust. So those 2 weeks are sort of a wash for me. And I think the Buffalo Bills were on the right track to sort of shutting down that Kansas City offense. They dropped everybody back. They made Kansas City run the ball, and Kansas City just happened to run the ball really well that day. So a couple of factors are going to come in. I think the Buffalo Bills are better against the run than they were. The Buffalo Bills have Matt Milano back. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs aren't as good running the football as they were early in the season. Edwards-Helaire is out. Who knows whether he'll be back? I said it before. I'll say it again. Nobody believed me. Le'Veon Bell is washed. I said it, and no one believed me.
Shame on you.
He's not an elite running back anymore. He's not. So Josh Allen will show up in this game, even though he didn't when we played in Buffalo. The run defense will show up, even though they didn't when we played in Buffalo. And I think all those things are going to come together and culminate in a Buffalo Bills victory. Fourth quarter, Josh Allen shows up and leads a game-winning drive.
All right, before I get to the deciding vote with Knapp, the guys in the comment section have disappeared. Now who's chicken? Now who's chicken? Now who's chicken? You don't want to come up with $50 and I'll put the helmet on for calling me a chicken? Come on.
Good, man. That's how you get them, Jeff.
They disappeared. Knapp, deciding vote.
Now,
Buffalo.
before you go to Knapp, I do have to, because Judge made me have the light bulb come on, and he mentioned the run game. The lack of run game that we have is what is going to, in my opinion, give the edge over to Kansas City. Because if we can't run the ball, we can't kill the clock, and you have a high-powered offense in the Chiefs, it just makes it troubling for the Bills to get going. So if this run game doesn't get going, man, that Chiefs gets it.
Zach Moss has been a fourth quarter clock killer the last couple.
I think they're probably saying the same thing about themselves. If they can't get the run game going against the Bills have a high-powered offense just in the same way. So I think you're looking at two teams who are probably much more similar than a lot of people would like to admit in that regard, where the offenses are both heavy passing offenses. The quarterbacks are both guys who at this point right here at this point in the season, at this point in their careers, they can both lead a comeback if they need to. And if they get down a little bit in the fourth quarter, they're both clutch guys. And for me, what it comes down to is I think that game against the Chiefs earlier in the season, like the Bills are so much better than what they played like in that game. They weren't even really fully healthy. The guys like AJ Klein, who were one of the main contributors at that point, he's playing a lot better football. The secondary is playing a lot better. The defensive line, and here's the thing, the running game was the biggest issue in that game because we decided we're not going to let them throw on us. We're going to make them beat us with the run. I know people are hesitant or they're kind of nervous about the running game and the Bills' run defense. But if you look at what the Bills have done recently, they've allowed maybe one big run early on in the game and then maybe one big run later on in the game. But in between those runs, it's been consistent stopping the run defensively because the defensive line has kind of come together. And at that point in the season, they were still figuring things out. And it's not like they're perfect by any means, but the Bills defense is a lot better at this point in the season than I think people are giving them credit for because of what we saw early on in the season. And I'm not really as worried about the Chiefs putting up 7-8 yards a carry on this defense anymore. So I think because of that, and I feel like I have to be a little bit of a homer here. I got to roll with the Bills. Something just feels right about this.
You don't even feel right saying it. Look at your face. Your face.
No. Something feels right about the Bills this year where everything's coming together. And did we have our struggles early on in the season? Did we have a couple of really heartbreaking losses? Yes. But the team is playing incredible football right now. And we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. The Bills are playing the best football in the NFL. If we're saying that, why won't we back it up and pick them to win?
Yep. I got you guys. I'm going with Buffalo's in this game as well. I think, Mahomes got his ring. He's not as hungry. He's not as hungry as he was last year. When are they going to announce the MVP pick? Because I don't think it's going to be Josh Allen. That's only going to add fuel to the fire for Josh Allen. He's going to want it more than Patrick Mahomes does. You see the fire in Josh Allen's eyes. He's going to want it more than Patrick Mahomes if he has to go into Kansas City and take it from Patrick Mahomes because he knows. That's why I think he tried to throw the ball out of the stadium last year after he scored a touchdown, is because he saw Patrick Mahomes throw the ball out of the stadium out of Arrowhead with no fans there. So Josh did it after a touchdown in a game with fans there. He knows the rivalry. He wants it more than Patrick Mahomes. And I also think that the Hail Mary in Arizona is the last time the Bills will have lost this season. That is the fuel to the fire for the team. They don't want to lose again. They don't want that feeling. They had a week off after losing that game. It's stuck in their craw. It's the last time, and it's the moment that's going to make this team not lose another game.
Yeah, if you can't get the regular MVP, you got to get the Super Bowl MVP.
Damn straight. All right, we got about 10 more minutes in this in this chat, guys. I got to get out of here because I got to drive home to go watch the game. So, final thoughts. I mean, it's tough to do a bold prediction in a week 17 when you're not sure if your starters are going to be playing. Bold prediction. We'll start with Nap, since Nap does the bold predictions on his Nap Knows Buffalo podcast.
Matt Barkley catches a touchdown pass. Record-setting touchdown.
Yes.
It's a record-setting touchdown. We've already seen that the Bills were willing to do trick plays. No.
Is it no?
No.
Who's it
I
from?
don't know who it's going to be from. I'm not doing that.
Isaiah
I don't know who
McKenzie.
it's going to be from.
Or Singletary?
Kyler Murray. From Kyler Murray, Isaiah McKenzie.
But we've seen them be willing to do trick plays. We know they want the records. We saw early that first drive, Dable was calling plays to try and get some records. So if they don't have somebody who's already caught the touchdown pass by the time Matt Barkley comes in, why not just give it a shot, you know?
Okay. Judge, bold prediction.
I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills win this football game without scoring a touchdown. Tyler Bass kicks 8 field goals, and the Buffalo Bills score 24 points to win this football game.
That would be a bold. I said
Josh Allen definitely doesn't throw one.
That might have to be my bold prediction, is that Judge is going to get an ass tattoo. But I said on our Supercast on the Rico Report Friday night that anytime the Bills get across the 50, they should just kick on second or third down and get Tyler Bass as many 50-plus kicks in January in this stadium as that he can get. It would not be a bad strategy, since you don't need this game.
I don't mind it.
Rico, give me a bold prediction.
Bold prediction. I really like Antonio Williams. So if and when he jumps into this game, I think he gets over 80 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Let me go with that. Antonio Williams, 80 yards rushing, 2 TDs, and let's call it a day. Was that DeWan said something? I'll take Antonio Williams is going to play. I'm just saying, Antonio Williams, man, he's not a bad player. Little bad rap of getting cut and Brent back and cut. Then
you see him squatting 495 pounds this week.
Insane. So I'm looking forward to seeing him, and I think that we'll be hearing his name more often than most folks will think that we would.
All right, here's my hot take. Josh Allen to John Brown, first play of the game, 75 yards, passing touchdown. Judge has to get the ass tattoo, and then Josh and John Brown don't play the rest of the game.
Damn.
That is my hot take.
Steve is so nervous. Look at him.
The good thing, though, is that we already said that we'd put our money up for it. So it doesn't even cost you anything. Like on Friday's show, we all already said we'll put up the money for you. So you're at least good on that end.
You'll only put up the money if I get Josh Allen leaping over my ass crack. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, Judge, you will never have to see it. If you get Josh Allen jumping over your ass crack, if we raise $2,000 for you, you will never see it.
How often are you turning around and looking in a mirror?
It is going to be.
Can you imagine?
It is going to be JA17 in the smallest possible font. Covered by all of my hair because I will no longer manscape my butt cheeks.
Hell, you're a fool.
All right, fellas. All right, we've done bold predictions. Why don't we get Judge gave us a score prediction. We got about 6 minutes left. Score prediction for this game on the Game Day Roundtable by Buffalo Fanatics, brought to you by Manscaped. And Judge is going to have to manscape his ass when he gets this tattoo done. Rico, give me a score prediction.
Score prediction. I think, God damn it, man. I think Bills win this one, and it's not gonna be as high scoring as people may think. So I'll say 21-17 Bills. I don't even like that score.
21-17.
21-17
right.
Bills.
Nap, score prediction.
I think the Bills get out to an early lead and then pull the starters after that. And then maybe the offense scores a touchdown or 2 field goals in the second half. I think the Bills win a close game, kind of sweat it out at the end, 27-24, because I think the Dolphins end up making a little bit of a push towards the end.
Judge, you gave us a score prediction. What did you say?
I'm going to go 24-16 Bills, all Tyler Bass field goals for the 24th game.
It's too stupid.
You're stooping the Miami Dolphins down to the Jets right now because that's what we did against the Jets.
Yep, we're going to do it again. It's going to be beautiful. Hey, the AFC East, it's different when you're playing divisional opponents, all right? It's different. Right? That's what they always say. It's different.
Look, I think Josh Allen plays one series, and that's my hope that he doesn't play any more than that. Can Matt Barkley put up 10 more points on top of Josh Allen's opening touchdown? I hope so, because you want that confidence going to the playoffs so that he can carry you if needed. So I want to say 17-14 Buffalo wins this. I don't think Miami's going to have a good day with Tua out there.
Jeff, I'm going to call you Jeff. I'm going to call you Jeffrey. So
yeah,
our backups are going to beat the starters 17-14, was it?
Why not? It's Buffalo in January against Miami.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Low scoring. Yeah. I like it. Okay.
Low scoring. Look, I mean, we haven't seen Matt Barkley score a touchdown all season, have we? So
I like it.
My honest hope.
If they protect the ball, it's possible. The Dolphins' defense thrives off of their turnovers. If they're not getting a ton of turnovers, you can move the ball and you can score points on them. So if they can protect the ball, I could see a path to that happening.
Man, this narrative of Jeff being a chicken, I don't get it. What's up with that, Jeff? You rub these people the wrong way today, man.
Hey, they cannot accept other people thinking differently than they think.
My
Let's just put it out that way. So who's the real chicken
today, man?
Who's the real chicken? They can't accept somebody thinking differently. Don't risk the Super Bowl.
You tell him, Jeff.
What would you rather have, the Vince Lombardi Trophy or a Week 17 game against Miami?
I think it's very clear. The people want the Week 17 win.
Yeah, exactly. All right, fellas. Any last thoughts? I mean, we still got a few more minutes. Any last thoughts on this game? And Judge has one.
I got a list of players that I'm gonna have my eye on today because I love to do some scouting today. Antonio Williams. I want to see Isaiah McKenzie with maybe a bigger role on offense today. I think Gabriel Davis will get some more targets because I think he'll be on the field less with Stephon Diggs and John Brown towards the end of the game because we're very thin at wide receiver. Epinesa, Love, Daryl Johnson on the defensive line. I'm going to keep my eye on. Tyrell Dodson at linebacker. If he gets in, I'm going to keep my eye on him. Dane Jackson. I think they would put Dane Jackson up against Devontae Parker, the size on the size. So that might be something interesting to watch. And of course, my man Tyler Bass kicking in Buffalo in January. So those are the players that I'm going to have my eye on throughout this game. The thing that scares me the most is how thin we are at offensive line. Only 7 offensive linemen are playing today, which means we will most likely see practically our entire offensive line play this football game.
Most likely. I was hoping that I would see Duke Williams get activated and get up in this game. But hey,
I think
you're opening that.
I think he's probably done.
I probably think the same. It's probably because Isaiah Hodgins is back for sure next year. So it's the end. The end is near for my guy.
Hold on. I do have one that just popped up that I like. Andre Roberts. Two TDs, runs one back and catches one another from Barkley.
I like that. I like that one a lot. I mean,
would that be the record? He hasn't had a receiving touchdown this year, has he?
I don't think so. No.
That would be. He would be one of the people who could get the record. I don't think he's the type of guy who's gonna return it for a TD anymore because I think you still have to have some speed, and I think he lacks a little bit in that area. And he's literally always one guy away from getting there, and he always gets caught by that one guy.
Yeah, facts.
Probably the type of guy now who's going to have like a couple of long returns, but isn't going to be able to break it. And I'm okay with that. I'm still very much fine. I'm more than happy having him on the roster if that's what he's going to do. Yep. I think we're probably past him breaking one unless there's some freak play where somebody trips or something.
All right, fellas, it's just about 12:30 on the East Coast, leading you up to game time. I got to bug out. You guys going to stick around, stay on a little bit?
I'm going to bug out as well, my man.
Yeah, we're out. Get everyone some time to cook up their wings and maybe.
Apparently, I'm going to try to cook my wings in some mayonnaise.
I'm going to have some chicken, I think. All right.
Chicken thighs? Drumstick?
I don't know. It doesn't really matter what type of chicken. I just think I'm going to eat some chicken to rub it into the comment section.
Some seafood?
Maybe I'll get some General Tso's,
General Tso's, right.
General Tso's fish?
Chicken.
Fish?
I've been getting called a chicken the entire cast here.
I know, but we're playing the Dolphins.
I get where you're going with that, Judge.
But listen,
I know where Judge is going with it, but I'm just going to rub it into the
Can
comment
you eat a
section.
dolphin? Can you eat a dolphin?
well, here,
I'm
I mean,
sure
you
somebody
can,
would get
but is
upset
it
about
legal?
that.
Is the
Is it
question.
legal? Is it legal to eat a dolphin?
Somebody would be upset about that.
somebody in the comment section, I think a couple shows back, was like, guys, I know it's really just not a big deal, but it's a big deal to me. Can you guys stop using analogies of like fish this and fish that?
Oh, because they're
Dolphin
mammals.
isn't a fish. Yeah,
They
Dolphin
are
isn't a
mammals.
fish. It's not a fish. It's a mammal. You guys need to stop doing that. I mean, I don't even know if the person sounds like that, but
That was a Dolphins fan, so they did.
That's how you read it, though. Yeah.
that's how I read it. That's exactly. Guys, you need to cut it out. Shut up, man. Fish it is.
All right, fellas. Go Bills. We'll see you next week.
Go Bills.